Hello, everybody. It's already that time for round two, show number two. Got a lot more good stuff. I just checked my schedule. My Arizona Michigan game's on at 8 or tip off's about 8:45, so we'll go to 8:30. So we'll get 3.5 hours in. Have a big show. Big game tonight. Winners in the championship. They're both my favorite teams.
Hello, everybody. David Schuster here.
And we got Carol. Yeah, I thought you might be at church with the Easter weekend there, Carol. Yep. Have a good time there, and we'll hopefully see you tomorrow. Chico, come on, we're getting ready to start. Ugh. What? There's nothing out there. Stop it. Yeah, I don't know if you were hearing me or not, but I'm gonna go all the way to 8:30 because my final four two teams are playing big game tonight, so we'll get 3.5 in. Both teams are my number one seeds in the tournament. It'll be an exciting game. They're both my favorites. I grew up in Arizona. I'm in Michigan, and they're both number one seeds. They're had two great seasons. Never happened before. It's gonna be the first time. I don't know if I'm gonna play Doug hour and a half video with I guess Michelle Obama's in the news. I think I'll play the 3-part clip with Megan. Megan Kelly has a 3-part short clip about what happened with Michelle Obama. So did Pete Hegseth get is he fired? I don't know if Pete got fired. Oh, hey, you okay? Oh, I'm live. I just turned on. We got my game's not till 8:30, so I'm gonna go to 8:30 and everything. So, yeah, I'll text you. I don't know if you're coming in or not. Are you coming in? Okay. All right. Love you. Bye. I got a video from YouTube and something about he's gone. So, well, they're saying he's busted. We're gonna play that the first clip. Chico. Oh boy, we got a lot of stuff to get out tonight. I think somebody's doing something through the hallway, making Chico bark. Chico, stop! You're coming in and out the doorway. And I just got something off of Telegram, you guys. You won't believe it. Ariel, say hi to you, buddy. Come on, get out of the way from the door. Come on, go to your window. Ariella's at her window. Now you go to yours. Ah, Trump is Not in the hospital. Don't listen to the fake news. Here we go about the fake news again. Wet day today. It's very cold, muggy. No door or window. Go play with Joyce. You want the window open, don't you? Okay, we do got Billy. He came out with I think a 17-minute one or 18, 15-minute one. Oh, you poor baby. You poor baby. Whining, whining, whining. You not gonna come up say hi? No? He wants the window open. Yes, I know. Come on. Get up here. Come on. Oh. Sit down and relax now on the window. Okay, I don't know. We only got a couple people in chat. Hopefully, we get everybody in here. All right, so we got to play that first video about Pete I just found. Ah.
We operate in 67 countries around the world.
Hello, everybody. David Schuster
Yeah.
here. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is now facing accusations of insider trading. A new report by the Financial Times says that Hegseth's broker tried to make huge investments in defense companies just before the war with Iran began. Here's the summary from MS Now.
The Financial Times is reporting that a broker for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth contacted BlackRock Investments about making a multi-million-dollar investment in major defense companies right before the U.S. strikes on Iran. That's according to three people familiar with the matter. The report says that the investment, which did not go through, would have involved massive defense contractors for the U.S. government.
Pre-war investments in massive U.S. defense contractors. Well, a spokesperson for Hegseth says the allegation is entirely false and fabricated. and that neither Hegseth nor his representatives approached BlackRock about any such
Hey, you're
investment.
back, Lucy.
The Financial Times story was reported primarily by Paul Murphy, the news organization's investigations
You back
editor,
to the store?
and a journalist for CNBC Europe who has worked in the past with Murphy responded to the Hegseth denials with this.
Well, I can tell you the first byline on that story is Paul Murphy, who's the FT's investigations editor, someone who I've known and worked with. I first worked with him more than 30 years ago at the Daily Telegraph here in London. He is one of the best journalists I have ever worked with. And so I think there's probably more to this story than the White House and the US Secretary Defense Department is saying.
Congressional Democrats also think there is more to the story. They are demanding investigations into Hegseth and want to question his financial broker under oath.
So, top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee writing in a letter to Hegseth, attempting to profit from a war you helped engineer using insider information is shocking and outrageous. A spokesman for Hegseth says the article is entirely false and fabricated and is demanding a retraction from the paper. The House committee also sent letters to BlackRock and Morgan Stanley seeking more information. Both companies declined to comment. The SEC, which would typically investigate insider trading, also not commenting here. So Hegseth's latest financial disclosures show no major investment in defense stocks. He did sell shares of big companies, including Walmart, Apple, and Costco, about 1 week before President Trump announced his sweeping tariffs last year, Robin.
That's right. Last year, 1 week before Donald Trump publicly announced sweeping tariffs, which increased costs for U.S. companies and businesses, Hegseth sold shares of some of the biggest U.S. companies, Walmart, Apple, and Costco. After Donald Trump announced the tariffs, a lot of companies saw their share prices go down. Did Pete Hegseth have advanced knowledge of the tariffs to notify his broker in order to protect the Hegseth investments? Well, it certainly looks that way, just as it looks, according to the Financial Times, that Hegseth and or his broker thought there was a profit that could be made off of Donald Trump's decision to attack Iran. Now, one of the confusing terms that is being thrown around in all of this is a defense ETF. So let's go there just for a second. An ETF is essentially a collection of investments, such as stocks, bonds, or commodities, that are bundled together into a single fund. The fund is then bought and sold on an exchange throughout the trading day, just like a stock. ETFs are designed to provide diversification, allowing investors to gain exposure to hundreds of different securities. So a defense ETF would not invest in just one military contractor, such as Northrop Grumman, which produces the B-2 stealth bomber. Rather, the defense ETF would invest in several military contractors, including companies like Raytheon, which produces missile systems, and Boeing, which produces F-15 fighters. The point is that if a general industry, say defense companies, are about to get really busy with new orders connected to a war, a defense ETF would be a great investment. Now, it's not just Pete Hegseth who allegedly tried to profit from the war. Other apparent Trump insiders have actually made a series of remarkably timed investments and wagers.
In the days before the Iran war, before the US and Israeli operations began, we saw a surge in bets by a handful of traders on those prediction sites, accurately placing bets that the Iranian regime was about to come under fire in that way. And that raised questions. That then sort of faded into the background. A couple of weeks later, there was a similar situation where just before President Trump put out a social media post that moved the market on the oil price significantly, 15 minutes before, a huge value of bets were placed on the futures market, and oil futures contracts changed hands 15 minutes before a post went out that moved the markets, which made whoever placed those very well-timed bets incredibly wealthy and made them a lot of money.
This kind of market manipulation would normally be investigated by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The SEC is a U.S. government agency that is supposed to protect the markets from misconduct and promote fairness and efficiency. But the SEC hasn't said a word publicly or launched any investigations into the pre-war bets or the oil trading. Perhaps relatedly, the Trump administration last year reconfigured the SEC leadership, disbanding enforcement efforts against markets the Trump family had heavily invested in, such as crypto. So if Donald Trump's family, friends, or insiders are investing now based on private information about the war, the SEC might look the other way. As congressional Democrats have stated, throughout the U.S. government, because of Donald Trump, the corruption runs deep. Thankfully, there is nothing, at least at the moment, stopping some media organizations from taking a closer look. And so we get reports like the one in the Financial Times about Pete Hegseth. Did the Secretary of Defense really try to profit off of the Iran war? Well, the story is not going away. And the investigations, at least by journalists, have just begun. Did you know that the big wireless carriers like Verizon and AT&T made over $18 billion in profit last year? How? By overcharging you for unlimited data, most of which you probably aren't even using. But what if you could get paid to use your phone less and only pay for the data you do use? Well, with Noble Mobile, you can. For just $50 a month on their No Bull plan, you get unlimited data, and whatever data you don't use, you get cash back right in your pocket. People who switch to Noble can save an average of $500 to $1,000 a year. It's a no-brainer. And by switching to Noble, you're directly supporting TYT and our mission of bringing you honest, independent news. So give Noble a try and make the switch today. Scan the QR code on the screen now or visit go.tyt.com/plan. That's go.tyt.com/plan. By the way, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is crumbling under direct questioning about alleged negotiations between the United States and Iran. On ABC's Good Morning America, Rubio tried to justify the ongoing war against Iran by unloading on regime leaders.
And their continuing move towards one day acquiring a nuclear capability. These people are lunatics. They are insane. They are religious zealots who can never be allowed to possess a nuclear weapon because they have an apocalyptic vision of the future. And all of their neighbors know that, by the way, which is why all of their neighbors have been supportive of the efforts we're conducting.
You call them lunatics, but the president just had this post where he says we're in discussions with a new and more reasonable regime. Let me try to pin you down on that. Who is this new and more reasonable regime? Is the United States in direct contact with them?
Well, I'm not going to disclose to you who those people are because it probably would get them in trouble with some other groups of people inside of Iran.
Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Schuster. Thanks for joining us.
That was an important one to get out, wasn't it? I wasn't sure about that one. But we got one of the two I got for the TikTok girl. I can't find the second one.
Who is now retired, that searched for John Kennedy and his wife and her sister's body after the plane crash, was interviewed on Newsmax. Did you know that they never found John Kennedy's legs? Did you know that he was literally cut in half and the only thing they found was the torso and the upper part of his body, which I guess that's the torso, right? Carolyn Kennedy and her sister were badly mangled, but they were all intact. Later on, when they were pulling up stuff from the ocean, they were trying to get as much wreckage as they could. So, divers wouldn't be going down there trying to sell this stuff and do all this stuff. They found after they had been cremated and their bodies thrown out at sea, the ashes, they found a huge chunk of Carolyn's scalp. And that was inside the remains of the airplane. And the guy said that because all that had already happened, they just went ahead and let it go in the ocean. Never knew this until last night. Apparently, there's a movie series out right now about these two, and they just kind of make it all look romantic and everything, and make it look all, I don't know, weird and good, and somehow it's all sweet-like, and there's nothing sweet about you're hitting the ocean at, I think, 120 or 160 miles an hour. Obviously, these people were torn all to pieces. The second thing I wanted you to think about today is when it comes to the left, Well, our Constitution says we have the right to bear arms, but when it comes to the left, they want to question the Constitution and change that. However, now that the Constitution has in there that you get your citizenship by birthright, they put that in there so that slaves, children born of slaves, could become a United States citizen. You know, they had no idea that we were going to have an idiot for a president who was going to open up the borders and allow 50 billion people to pile into the United States. Well, all of a sudden now the left is wanting us to stick by the Constitution. But you don't want us to stick by it when it says that we have the right to bear arms. Got it. Here's some tidbits for you.
Okay, I'll find the second one. I can't find the second one. The next one is 4 minutes. This guy okay?
At 9/11, you heard me, 9/11, before he gave his address on Iran. Now, that morning, he had an Easter lunch. This is Paula White. Check this out, then I'll show you the 9/11 connection.
The day started off like this. Paula White praising Trump.
And I just wanted to share this thought and pray over President Trump. Jesus taught us so many lessons through his death, burial, and resurrection. He showed us great leadership. Great transformation requires great sacrifice. And Mr. President, no one has paid the price like you have paid the price. It almost cost you your life. You were betrayed and arrested and falsely accused. It's a familiar pattern that our Lord and Savior showed us. But it didn't end there for him, and it didn't end there for you.
So, like a comparison to Jesus, a sacrifice. So then yesterday, I ran a live video and I noticed something. Trump walked in. This is at the White House site. Trump walked in to start his speech. Look, at 9/11, look at it. At 9/11, Trump walked in. He walked in. At 9/11, you see the doors open? Watch this. 9:09, watch. 10, 11. Here it comes.
Wow. That's interesting, huh?
I got it on super slow-mo, so it's going to take a second. Did you see it? Did you see it? Look at it again. 9:09. At 9/11, he walks in. Come on, y'all. Look. 9/11, 2001, Twin Towers, April 1st, yesterday, 2026, 24 years ago. 24 like X, I'm taking you out. What is 6/22? America bombed Iran on 6/22.
Now understand, when you get numbers like this, you got to understand how this works. 24 is the 24 letter of the alphabet is X. 24 is X in Roman numerals. X means I'm taking you out. On 6/22 of last year, 2025, we bombed Iran. Do you understand? 9/11, 2001, Twin Towers, April 1st, yesterday. Are they trying to tell us something?
America bombed Iran on 6/22. 9/11, 2026, April 1st, 2026, 5/14. What is 5/14? Israel became a nation on 5/14. 9/25, 27:53, that's the time. The time he spoke, the time he ended. Ends with 1858. 1858.
So here it is. 9:25, he starts speaking. 27:53 gives you actually 1828. 1828 from this year of 2026 gives you 198. The 198th day of the year is July 17th. July 17, 2026 from April 1st, yesterday, gives you 316, sacrifice. We just started Holy Week. 316, John 316 is sacrifice. It's deep, y'all. It's deep. Go to my site and I'll share that with you guys, okay? Here's the video.
What do you guys think of that guy? Is he okay? So that's good to learn. Learn, right?
In 1969, how come most homes were still struggling with clear color TV then? Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll see why this question isn't as simple as it sounds, why it keeps people thinking even today. Picture this, a family in 1969 sitting in their living room, watching a blurry broadcast, sometimes black and white, sometimes color that doesn't even look right, antennas twisting, signals dropping, nothing smooth. Now jump to the same year. A machine leaves Earth, travels through space, lands on the moon and sends signals back. Feels strange, right? How can one world struggle with TV signals while another sends humans across space? But here's where it gets interesting. The technology you see every day is not always the most advanced. It's just the most common. Color TVs existed before 1969. But they were expensive, rare, and still improving. Not everyone had one. Meanwhile, space programs were getting huge funding, top engineers, and years of focused work. Completely different environment. You know, there's something kind of fascinating about how engineering looks in real life. Sometimes it's messy, sometimes it's beautiful, but it's always about making things work, even if it means patching things together in ways you'd never expect. That's the real story behind the scenes. It's not just about having the best technology, but about how people use what they've got and the creative ways they solve problems along the way. But hold on, because this is where the confusion really starts, because when people look at the moon lander, they don't see something advanced. They see thin legs, foil-like covers, a shape that doesn't match what we imagine as high-tech. It doesn't look like a modern rocket. It doesn't look like a sleek machine. It almost feels too simple. And that's where doubt creeps in, because in our minds, advance should look powerful, shiny, and perfect. But what if that expectation is wrong? What if the design wasn't meant to look strong, but to be light? Now think about this. In space, there's no air, no wind, no weather. No need for heavy protection like on Earth. So engineers didn't build something that looks strong. They built something that is just enough to work. But here's the twist. If something looks weak but works perfectly, does that make it more impressive or more suspicious? When you step back and look at everything together, it's clear there's more going on than meets the eye. Every answer just leads to another question. And honestly, that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating. That question alone is why people keep coming back to this topic. So, if this made you think even a little differently, you're going to want to see the next video, because this is just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. Follow the page, and let's keep asking the questions most people never stop to think about. If humans could send
Yeah, I still got quite a few short videos.
floating in space thousands of miles above your head, then why did a government official from Iran stand in front of cameras and threaten to cut undersea cables sitting at the bottom of the ocean to shut the internet down for millions of people? Hold on, because those two things cannot both be true at the same time. Either the internet travels through space and satellites handle everything, or it crawls through physical cables buried under miles of freezing dark ocean water, and those cables are the actual lifeline. It cannot be both. And yet we have been casually told both for years without anyone blinking. Right now, under the Atlantic Ocean, under the Pacific Ocean,
this could be
under the
interesting,
Indian Ocean, there are cables. Real physical cables, thinner than you think, carrying over 95% of every video call, every bank transfer, every search result, Every message you have ever sent internationally, not satellites, cables. And the people who control global infrastructure know exactly where every single one of those cables sits on the ocean floor. I promised you something in the title of this video. Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you is not a theory. It is documented, it is publicly available, and it will completely change how you think about the invisible world running underneath everything you do online. Do not tap away. The next part is where this gets real. So here's the version of the internet that, well, most people carry around in their heads. Satellites floating in space, signals just bouncing around up there, your phone catching the signal. Done. Wireless, modern, clean, almost magical, if you think about it. And yeah, satellite internet exists. Starlink is real, GPS is real, some signals do come from above. But here's the number that honestly changes everything. 95%, that's the percentage of all international internet data that actually travels through undersea cables right now, today. Not through space, not through satellites, through cables. Real physical cables, laid manually across the bottom of the ocean by specialized ships over many decades. There are, get this, over 400 of these cables currently active around the world. They stretch for over 1.3 million kilometers, all combined. That's further than the distance to the moon and back, twice. Your YouTube video buffering right now probably came through one of those cables. Your bank approving a transaction across borders. Cable. A news broadcast going live from another country. Cable. The entire financial system of the modern world runs on rubber-coated wire, just sitting there in pitch black water at the bottom of the sea. And honestly, almost nobody talks about it. Now here is where the Iran story becomes genuinely important. In 2023, senior Iranian officials publicly discussed the strategic option of damaging or severing undersea internet cables in the Persian Gulf and surrounding regions as a potential response to geopolitical pressure. A statement was reported by multiple international news outlets. It was not a rumor. It was a documented political statement. And the reason that statement carries weight is because cutting those cables actually works. In 2008, several undersea cables in the Mediterranean were cut, accidentally according to official reports, within days of each other. Internet speeds across Egypt, India, Pakistan, and parts of the Middle East dropped catastrophically. Some regions lost over 70% of their connectivity in hours, not because a satellite failed, because a wire got cut in the ocean, like someone tripped over an extension cord. That is the actual internet. That is the real infrastructure behind the screen you are staring at right now. And the fact that you were never clearly told, this should raise a very specific question in your mind. Why would anyone want you thinking the internet lives in space when it actually lives on the ocean floor? Think about that carefully, because the answer to that question reveals something about how much of the world around you is managed through perception rather than reality. If you believe your internet comes from satellites floating safely in orbit, you feel like it is untouchable, secure, out of reach. Nobody can just walk up and unplug it. But if you know it runs through cables at the bottom of the ocean, suddenly it feels very different. Suddenly it feels vulnerable. Suddenly you start wondering who has submarines near those cables, who has mapped their locations, who could reach them if they wanted to. And those are not comfortable questions for people who want you calm and consuming content. Here is another layer that makes this even stranger. The companies that own most of these undersea cables are not governments. They are private technology corporations. Google owns cables. Meta owns cables. Microsoft has invested heavily in undersea cable infrastructure. Amazon too. The same four companies that handle most of what you see, read, watch, and buy online also physically own the pipes that carry the data. That is not a coincidence. That is vertical control of an entire communication system, from the wire in the ocean to the screen in your pocket. And the governments of the world know this, which is why, when tensions rise between nations, the conversation always quietly turns to cables, not satellites. Cables. In 2022, mysterious damage appeared on the Nord Stream pipelines under the Baltic Sea. That story got enormous coverage. In the same period, two separate undersea internet cables near Svalbard in Norway were also found damaged, barely reported, quietly investigated. No clear conclusion ever made public. Two separate cables, strategically located, damaged around the same time as one of the biggest geopolitical events in recent history. Coincidence? Or is the ocean floor becoming the new battlefield that nobody wants to talk about on the evening news because, well, it would require explaining infrastructure that the public was never properly told about in the first place? Here is the uncomfortable truth sitting under all of this. The systems that run your daily life, your money, your communication, your access to information are far more physical, far more fragile, and far more controlled than the clean wireless future you were sold in technology advertisements. And the gap between what you were told and what is actually true is not small. It is 1.3 million kilometers of cable sitting in the dark at the bottom of the sea. Here is what is simply and completely true. Undersea cables are the backbone of global internet. Satellites supplement and support specific use cases, but they do not carry the load. The infrastructure is physical, aging in some regions, and strategically significant enough that world powers treat cable locations as sensitive national security information. Knowing this does not require choosing a side politically. It just requires accepting that the world works differently from how it was presented to you. The International Cable Protection Committee, a real organization that's been around since 1958, keeps an eye on and coordinates the protection of undersea cables all over the globe. They put out reports, and the data is public. In their latest available assessments, more than 200 cable faults happen every single year. Most of these are down to fishing anchors and natural erosion, but, a growing percentage are still listed as cause undetermined, on infrastructure that literally runs the entire connected world. So, the next time your internet slows down and someone reckons it's just the satellite signal being a bit weak, you now know that's probably not even the right conversation. The real conversation is happening somewhere on the ocean floor, in a place you can't even see. On infrastructure you were never really told much about, all managed by corporations and governments who know exactly how much power lives in those cables. You just learned something today that, honestly, most people scrolling past you right now have never even thought about. And that matters. That kind of thinking really does matter. There are more videos on this page that pull back the...
Okay, we'll get back to our normal intel. We got a clip of Pam Bondi I want to share before we get to Benny and Trish and all the other ones. We got Billy Dean still to come too. See what you guys think of this photo shot. What's the difference? I wonder what they're trying to tell us, you guys. That's not her or what? Oh. You think music is it, Flying Eagle?
It's the season. A one-way ticket is all you'll be needing. No age ID required in the Virgin Islands. There's a place called Little St. James. That's where you wanna go if you don't like the age of consent. CIA and myself will have you on tape the second you land. But don't worry, the files won't go public if you support Israel.
This video.
Welcome aboard the Lolita Express. I'm gonna take you to Epstein Island.
I guess we can't play the music. I thought that wasn't music. That's enough, Chico. Two and a half or 2 minutes. Yeah, I know. I was thinking I wish I could have got to play the music. That video was bad. Sorry about that one. We're going to get a 13-minute video.
Won't start, so let's just be out with it. 2028 is without question going to be the single most bananas, total and complete batshit crazy election cycle of our lifetimes. That's just a bona fide matter of fact. There are so many different competing factions, so many different camps. So much has happened to both the Democrat and Republican Party, populist movements, but within both parties, atomizational movements within both parties, pro-Israel, anti-Israel, pro-Palestine, pro-interventionist, anti-interventionist, nativists. I mean, like America first, America last, America like shouldn't exist. You know, all of it, and the factions like spin just utterly wildly. And some of them have Venn diagram crossovers with each other, the alliances that could be formed. I mean, we're slowly but surely spiraling towards what looks a lot less like a two-party system and a lot more like a parliamentary system where you have smaller camps that align with each other. And that's kind of what MAGA was, frankly, with RFK and Tulsi and Joe Kent. And this sort of like, you know, that's sort of getting ripped apart at the seams. I guess we'll see what happens next. But those coalitions are tough to keep together. And so 2028 is going to be just wild. It's going to be like where everything just bursts forth. You can see
That's
how the central
the
planning
Chico
of the Republican Party got destroyed by Trump. The central planning of the Democrat Party got destroyed by Biden and Kamala. Everybody saw what garbage that was. And so everyone's pissed and maybe looking for new blood. New blood, same as the old blood. Rand Paul, let's just start with like right away. Who's announced for president? He says he's like 50-50. Says like
With
for sure. He's like,
2028 just around the corner, Senator Rand Paul
probably is going to be running, he says.
Ruling anything out.
Oh my God.
There was recently a headline in the Washington Examiner. Rand Paul sounds like he's running for president.
Yeah, I don't know yet. So maybe they know something I don't know. We're thinking about it, and I would say 50-50. We'll make a decision after the election, but I'm not going to do it just to do it. It would be, one, because we need to have a free market wing. We need to have a free trade wing of the party who's not eager for war and tries to at least explore diplomacy as an option to war.
So Rand Paul is clearly going to be running as an anti-war candidate, anti-interventionalist candidate. Now, he's already ran against Donald Trump. Trump did eviscerate him. It was really funny, classic Trump. But I like Rand. I mean, listen, like, I'm a fan of Rand Paul. He's on the show all the time. But when it comes to 2028, I guess you are setting up with President Trump engaging really aggressively from a interventionalist standpoint with Maduro and Cuba, it looks like, and with Iran. It definitely does open up a wing for a non-interventionalist candidate.
Appearance,
here's what
short,
happened last
tall,
time.
fat, ugly. My goodness, that happened in junior high. Are we not way above that? Would we not all be worried to have someone like that in charge of the nuclear arsenal?
Mr. Trump. I never attacked him on his look, and believe me, there's plenty of subject matter right there. That I can tell you.
But Jake,
Funny. It's funny. It's just classic Trump. It's funny, whatever you think about it. Rand Paul, when asked if he would support J.D. Vance in 2028.
What also interesting was, so did Marco Rubio, who in that article in Vanity Fair said that if J.D. Vance runs, he'll be the nominee, and I'll be one of the first to support him. I know it's early. What do you make of this? Is J.D. Vance the heir apparent here?
I think there needs to be representatives in the Republican Party who still believe international trade is good, who still believe in free market capitalism, who still believe in low taxes. See, it used to separate conservatives and liberals. That conservatives thought.
So Rand Paul saying, getting asked, would you support J.D. Vance? And he just flatly says no.
No.
Okay. Senator Rand Paul.
Okay.
Thank you.
So absolutely not, says Rand Paul. I guess we'll see. Republican Party nominee in 2028. J.D. Vance's chances are kind of slipping here. Marco Rubio's have gone up. You have Tucker Carlson in there. Ron DeSantis as well. President Trump says that Ron DeSantis could serve in his cabinet and that he'd like to have DeSantis entering the cabinet. Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens there. Obviously, Tucker Carlson has been floated as a presidential contender, including in 2016 and in 2020 and in 2024. There were little rumblings about Tucker potentially running as a presidential candidate.
The Republican Party.
But now Glenn Greenwald is going on a large podcast and saying, I am absolutely predicting that Tucker Carlson will be running because there's a wide open lane for a populist candidate, an anti-Israel candidate.
To run for president.
I think it could happen.
This is my hope. I mean, like the Republican Party, there's going to be a major candidate. I am certain. I hope it's Tucker.
Really?
I
think it could happen.
This is my hope. I mean, Tucker's a good friend of mine. I don't exploit my friendship to pressure him to run for president. And he's adamant that he won't, publicly. And even, if you talk to him and try and exploit it, he'll kind of laugh. But, stranger things have happened. But anyway, I hope it's him. But even if it's not him, there'll be a Thomas Massey figure, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't know who runs on a real America First, returns to America First and says hey, remember this? Like, we're not supposed to fight wars for our foreign countries. We're not supposed to send billions of dollars out of our communities in the Midwest that have been deindustrialized and overrun with with addiction and suicide and depression, and people having to work 3 jobs, not being able to buy homes until they're 40 or start families until they're 40, and maybe having 1 kid because that's all they can afford. And both parents work outside the house. Like, until that's fixed, we shouldn't be sending billions of dollars to Ukraine or Israel, paying for their army, paying for their society. That is going to resonate among a huge number of Republican Party voters, especially the young voters.
Are you looking at 4x4s on cars.com again?
I honestly don't know what you're talking about.
I was thinking of something more sophisticated. Fine. Keep the beard.
Cars.com. Where to next?
Can we deduct our kids' braces?
I do not know.
He's right.
5 minutes.
This was actually this was the Trump message. This was the J.D. Vance message. The guy wrote Hillbilly Elegy. This is the exact book that he wrote. And so, I guess if you can get off message and off mission and get tied up in, what does George Washington say, foreign entanglements, and that'll be the death of you. It's the death of most, actually, political movements in our country, unfortunately. It's too bad. And the inability to get involved in the non-interventionist stance of like a John F. Kennedy gets him killed. Yeah. That's exactly, of course, what happened. I'm running for president of the United States in 2028. It says Anthony Scaramucci. I'm aware of what happened last time I worked at the White House, and now you should join me.
I thought about doing this at the Capitol steps.
What the hell is this?
I thought about doing this.
He's like,
here, at Cape Canaveral, where we're launching
stupid
our astronauts to the moon. But we're going to do it right here in our offices. I'm announcing my candidacy for the presidency, Mooch 2028. And it's a red hat, so I'll let you know what party nomination I'm running.
Okay, all right. Didn't even crack 1,000 reposts. Okay. Loser. Don Lemon says he might run for president. Please do it.
I know people are going to think I'm crazy. This is going to be the headline, and people are going to laugh about it. I think I could be president of the United States. I could definitely run this country better than Donald Trump.
Do you think you might ever run for office? Oh, boy. That was a long pause, Don.
I hear that all the time. First, I hear, I don't want to ruin my life. Why would I invite that sort of even more criticism or whatever? Why would I want to ruin my life with people digging into, everything about me and campaign ads, putting everything that I've ever said that's deemed controversial? I've never said that I was going to grab anybody by the pussy, right? So
that doesn't surprise me, Don,
I've never said that a woman had blood coming out of her wherever. But also, I'm not a white man. And the rules are different for me.
You're married to one.
And so just like the rules, I believe, sadly, are different for women. They're different for Hillary Clinton, for Nikki Haley. They're different for Kamala Harris. They're different for Alex Wagner. And white men get away with way more than, women or black people or any minority. So do I ever think about it? Yes. Could it happen? Yeah, it could happen. If the opportunity presented itself, the right opportunity presented itself.
Okay, could we have Don Lemon? I could be president of the United States. Could we have Don Lemon versus Tucker Carlson for president with Rand Paul as vice president? And then Don Lemon's Scaramucci ticket. Goodness gracious. Don Lemon sentenced to prison? There's a 10% chance. Don Lemon currently facing prison time. Storming a church in Minneapolis. Just a reminder that Tucker Carlson did, in fact, say that he doesn't want to run for president. He did. And there's a specific reason that he wants to run for president. And I'll let Tucker explain here on Piers Morgan Show. It's just going to be wild. 2028 is going to be wild.
As for Ted Cruz, he says he's running against me for president. I almost want to run for president just to debate Ted Cruz. because I think it would go about the way it went last time. And for my part, I deeply enjoyed it, which is why I've never tweeted about it, because I just keep that little spark of joy inside me for rainy days. And I think about that conversation and smile. I would run for Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. I'd run for Pope. I'd run for head of the library board. I would run for anything for the opportunity to do that and watch Ted Cruz, and it appeals to the mean part of me, I think. All you need to do with Ted Cruz, another Harvard graduate. All the dumbest people went to Harvard. That's a talking point, but it's actually real. Ted Cruz went to Harvard. Bill Ackman, who's like a moron, went to Harvard. And Ben Shapiro went to Harvard. Anyway, if he's like this famously brilliant guy, silver-tongued Ted Cruz, he's going to be on the Supreme Court. You ask him the simplest question possible. I'm only capable of dumb questions because I'm not a genius. Like, what's the population of Iran? What Bible verse are you talking about? Dumb stuff. He can't answer any of it. Like, nothing. And that to me was like amazing. It wasn't like I went in there with hyper complicated questions. I'm a really well-experienced interviewer. I'm going to trip you up with my sophistry. It was like, hey, Ted, who lives in Iran? No clue. And he's calling for its overthrow. So I imagine we'd have more fun like that. And I would stop anything I was doing to have more of that because I just loved it.
Okay. Another Benny video there.
Never looks so good. That's smart.
The video is too quiet? Boost your volume up to 600% with Volume Max. Your browser caps audio at 100.
This one's only 8 minutes, you guys. 8 minutes.
I have this JD Vance clip. I'm not sure if we have it loaded, but I would really love to get your reaction to it because you've broken a ton of news on our program, Congressman, talking about Ilhan Omar. And JD Vance, sort of like, frankly, off the cuff, was talking about fraud. And he just like drops a bombshell on me and on our program just a few short days ago in the White House. And he says, no, you don't understand. Like, we have the documents that prove that Ilhan Omar committed immigration fraud. Stephen Miller has those documents. He's over the DHS portfolio, so he would know and have access to all of it, classified or otherwise. And so she did commit immigration fraud, and we're now looking at remedies for that. Talk about Ilhan Omar and Tim Walz. And obviously, Ilhan Omar, the president and the White House have been out saying that she married her brother, that there is immigration fraud going on here. These are deportable denaturalization offenses. Can you give us an update on that?
Yeah, so we actually think that Ilhan Omar definitely committed immigration fraud against the United States of America. And I talked to Stephen Miller about this actually recently. We're trying to look at what the remedies are. That's the thing that we're trying to figure out is what are the legal remedies now that we know that she's committed immigration fraud? How do you go after her? How do you investigate her? How do you actually do the thing? How do you build the case necessary to get some justice for the American people? There's a related issue, Benny, which is she has been at the center of a lot of the worst fraudsters in the Somalian community. So do I know that Ilhan Omar was aware that the Quality Leering Center was defrauding the American people? I'm not certain of it, but we at least need to investigate it, because if people can commit wrongdoing without even the fear that they're going to be found out, that's a fundamental problem. So I'm worried about the immigration fraud. I'm also worried about what did Ilhan Omar know about what was happening in the Somali community, and why was nobody looking into it until, frankly, Donald Trump came along.
You've been pretty strong and full-throated about what you believe Ilhan Omar has done and engaged in the House from an ethical standpoint. You know, what do you think should happen to Ilhan Omar given these revelations from the White House?
Well, if the evidence shows that she committed fraud to become a citizen of our country, she should be deported and charged with a crime. It's pretty basic stuff. I don't know why this hasn't been sent to the DOJ. I would imagine she's not the only one in Minneapolis that have committed immigration fraud to get citizenship in our country, and anybody that is committed in immigration fraud to become a citizen of our country should be charged with a crime and then deported. It's pretty simple. I don't know if there's a statute of limitations on those type of crimes, but there shouldn't be. And if there is, that's something that I would love to look into and try to pass a bill in Congress that has no statute of limitations, because if you committed fraud to become a citizen of our country or to get a visa to come into our country, then you should be held accountable for that and be deported. So hopefully they're going to, whatever information they have, they send that to the DOJ, and AG Bondi's going to take some action on it, because the American people are sick and tired of being taken advantage of. They're sick and tired of the fraud that is rampant, not just in immigration fraud, but you're seeing it with all of this social welfare programming in Minneapolis. You're seeing it in California as it relates to all these different social welfare programs that we are footing the bill for, that are going to people that don't deserve it, that aren't even here legally into our country. So I hope that the DOJ takes whatever evidence it is and moves forward with it.
What about Congress? I know that there are ethics investigations into Ilhan Omar, fake wineries, $30 million, quite egregious, frankly. Her feeding the future programs, right, that she runs. What is there anything that Congress can do? I'm well aware that Congress doesn't arrest people, they don't refer people to DOJ. But is Congress policing itself here?
Well, we can. We have an ethics committee that's supposed to be doing that. And after 2 years of investigation, and Sheila McCormick's that, has been indicted on 15 counts of stealing $5 million in FEMA money. Finally, we're at the point where hopefully the ethics committee is going to meet when we get back, because they had their trial. They found her guilty of 25 of the 27 ethics violations, fraud, embezzlement, stealing $5 million, campaign fraud, all these different things. And as soon as the committee comes up with a recommendation, which I hope is expulsion, you shouldn't have a member of Congress stealing $5 million of taxpayer dollars and then laundering it to their campaign to using campaign purposes. I'm going to file a motion, privilege motion in the floor to expel her as a member of Congress. So there's the ethics committee that can investigate these things. But as it relates to Ilhan Omar, some of the stuff that she's doing is actually legal and ethical. I filed a bill when I first came into Congress that would prohibit and make it illegal for a member of Congress to pay their spouse through their campaign. It's 100% legal. She's paid her husband like $3 to $5 million out of her campaign account for consulting services to his consulting company. That should be absolutely illegal. It's corrupt. It's self-dealing, but it's legal and it's ethical. And I filed a bill to do away with it, and I couldn't even get a committee hearing on it. So it's crazy, the things that you legally and ethically can get away with. And then there's the things that you're not supposed to be doing that are illegal, like this $5 million that this congresswoman from Florida has stolen from the taxpayers, that hopefully that finally, after 2 years of an investigation, there's going to be some accountability for that when we get back in a couple of weeks. Because as soon as they render some type of judgment, I've already filed my motion for expulsion, but I'll call it up for a vote after they do their job.
And is that a clear majority vote? How does that work?
No, to expel is 2/3. So the Democrats are going to have to make a very what's great is even if the Democrats don't vote to expel one of their own members, that'll be a great campaign issue for us in some of these tough districts. So you voted to not kick out a member of Congress who has been found guilty of laundering $5 million in FEMA fraud. So that'll be a really tough vote for them. And quite frankly, if we're not able to expel a member of Congress for stealing $5 million of taxpayer dollars, then what's the point of having an ethics committee? Well, we shouldn't even have an ethics committee. It's completely and utterly pointless if we can't police our own.
Bro, what's the point of having Congress? I mean, everyone already thinks Congress is a bunch of thieves. It's like, everybody already sees Ilhan Omar's fake winery and $30 million valuation going there dead broke, as an impoverished Somali refugee. And it's like, oh, okay. You can track the portfolios, right? Like, it's so bad. It's such a black eye for Congress itself. If you guys aren't able to kick her ass out. Her name is Sheila McCormick. She is a congresswoman from Florida. She's still a member of Congress.
Still a member of Congress.
Voting.
She's been indicted on 15 felonies. Like if she's found guilty on those 15 felonies, she'll go to prison for like 57 years or 55 years or some crazy number.
Okay, we got two biddies in. Well, I got two more things I got from the X2 report. This is off the X2 report. I'll just put it up. Dang it. Ah, darn it. Well, they won't let me put it up. I guess I have to put it onto my phone. I wonder why Trump is dying. Is it in the news cycle? The bottom one says, let's see if I get the bottom one. Trump doesn't show his face in front of the camera for a few hours, and suddenly he's secretly hospitalized and dying. But when Sleepy Joe goes weeks without an appearance, the fake news has nothing to say. So I guess that's the rumor about being sick. Okay, we'll get Billy Bean now.
And taxes.
Welcome to Truth by Billy Bean. Today's date, April 4, 2026, time in Texas, about 1 p.m. And thanks for like, subscribe, and share. So some of the things we'll cover today, a U.S. military pilot is still missing in Iran.
Yeah, he has to be out of the picture for a little bit. That one lady on TikTok with the glasses. I got one of her videos I'm going to play here soon.
And we've had many U.S. planes hit and downed in Iran. That was after Russia resupplied Iran with air defense systems. And we have President Trump, 48 hours to a ground invasion plus massive hits on Iran. So that's going on. Let's get started. We're going to begin with space weather. Yesterday, we had an unexpected G3, strong geomagnetic storm. Today, we're in a G1. We're seeing earthquakes fairly strong in California in the last 24 hours near Santa Cruz, and I believe Van Nuys, a level of about a 4, but in urban areas, so it was felt by many. And we know we continue to have weather changes. I know this weekend in Texas, we're expecting thunderstorms. And I found it curious that we had that G3 yesterday, and Ben Davidson of YouTube Space Weather also puts out, it was unexpected, unannounced by NASA and NOAA. So that's going on. And we know we have the maps comet today, April 4, coming close to the sun's corona. The corona is the light field that goes out from the sun. It's believed that the MAPS comet, if it survives, which is questionable, it may simply dissolve in all that heat and extremes near that close to the sun. So that's going on. And we have this. Yeah, Artemis 2 yesterday was in the magnetotail of the Earth, which gave more radiation protection to Artemis. Today it's fully out of the gravity pull of the Earth and is now coming close to an area to be pulled in by the gravity of the moon. We know it's going to go around the moon and then come back to the Earth. April 10, splashdown, predicted to be near San Diego, California. And we have this information that Ed Dames has passed away. He was in the U.S. military decades ago, and he was trained by the U.S. military in remote viewing. He was the remote viewer who put out the kill shot from the sun to the Earth to come in the future. Now,
Join Planet Fitness for 1 cent down, $15 a month. No commitment. Deal ends Friday, April 10th.
Here you go, miss.
And we say rest in peace, Ed Dames. I believe he was very talented and very honest. He wanted to come forth with that information about the kill shot. And I know years ago, a leader of the Department of Homeland Security, in her closing speech, mentioned the kill shot from the sun. Now, that information I put out recently from Larry Taylor of Best and Taylor was that the U.S. Rededicating itself to God and entering into this conflict with Iran put us on a new timeline, a shorter timeline for the return of our Messiah, Jesus Christ. Now, many would ask, how long could that timeline be? Well, we know one day with God is 1,000 years. I just believe that we're on the right timeline and that we are indeed engaged in this conflict against Iran and other nations in a good fight against evil. So that's going on. But Ed Dames has passed, and his remote viewing of the kill shot, I submit, could have been possible if we had remained on the same timeline. But we are now on a new timeline. And as I put out in my last video, President Trump's rededication of America to God, May 17, according to God, will renew our covenant with God and give us another blessed 250 years as a Christian nation, prospering and blessed with many children, as a matter of fact. So that's going on. And I always believe it's best not to subscribe to the sky is falling philosophy. Now, we've seen in the past 24 hours some hits on U.S. planes and helicopters, some drone hits, U.S. drones being hit by Iran. And U.S. Intel provides this information that about 72 hours before these events happened, so about April 1, Russia resupplied Iran with air defense systems via the Caspian Sea. So that's right off the coast of Iran. So now the U.S. military had effectively taken out the air defense of Iran. Now we have to do it again. And you may say, why is Russia doing this? President Trump lifted the oil sanctions on Russia. Maybe Russia wants the U.S. to stop providing intel to Ukraine. That could be going on, but definitely Russia resupplied Iran with air defense, and I submit it was with the use of these air defense systems, which appear to be in place. So we have Karg Island here. We know that's been of much controversy. We had the F-15 Eagle go down in this area, northwest Iran, near the Zagros Mountains. So we have mountain terrain. We also have the 10th Mountain Division, possibly may get involved in this rescue. So we had two pilots go down, a pilot and a weapons officer, co-pilot, and their ejection suits are designed when they come out of the plane to separate. And the U.S. military's training is the two pilots are to separate. If one is captured, the other one's still free. So we had the pilot, the main pilot of the F-15 Eagle rescued yesterday. We have the weapons officer, the co-pilot, still missing. Now, we've had some erroneous claims by sources that look legitimate that the second co-pilot had been rescued. For me, I wanted to wait until I could hear from sources I trusted. And I did hear this morning from Ward Carroll and Afterburn and other sources. The weapons officer co-pilot is still missing. And in this terrain, very mountainous, some areas up to 8,000 feet, they are looking for him. Now, yesterday, we had the F-15 Eagle go down. We had an A-10 Warthog.
Zegrid releases immediately and blocks acid that causes heartburn for 24 hours. Feel the difference.
Hey guys, Asher Rachel Legends. Welcome to the video. Send us some love, some positive vibes your way, especially if you're going through something and you need them out there.
Go down.
6 minutes.
That pilot ejected and was rescued. We had two MH helicopters, two helicopters who were involved in the rescue. One went down in Iraq. The crew was rescued. The second one didn't crash, but it was hit. So it's all safe with the two helicopters. And we had a second F-16 go down in Saudi Arabia, but the pilot was able to land and is safe. We had two other planes, Squawking 7700, SOS, but both of those were able to land safely. I submit these strikes on the U.S. military were possible through Iran now having air defense. And it appears they're putting it along their southern and western border, where it's believed the U.S. military is going to ground invade Karg Island and the Strait of Hormuz. I submit that remains to be seen. And we have this. Yeah, we still have the one pilot still missing. So it's good to be in prayer for him. And we have this. Yeah. Talking about the pilot missing, the 2 helicopters, one going down, one being hit, but everybody's safe. That the U.S. military and the U.S. government will move heaven and earth to rescue this missing pilot. The motto of rescue, U.S. military search and rescue, that others may live. So that demonstrates the commitment by the U.S. military and the people doing the search and rescue. And we have this. We have from Canadian Prepper. There was an emergency meeting yesterday about 5 p.m. in Washington, D.C. President Trump has green-lighted ground invasion and massive hits on Iran, although, according to U.S. intel yesterday, President Trump gave Iran 48 hours. So that was yesterday. They'd be Saturday and Sunday. We know his time frame runs out April 6th, which will be Monday. So that's going on. And it's believed that covered at this emergency meeting yesterday with President Trump was the possible use of U.S. military with bunker busters and also tactical nukes to destroy the supply of missiles and other weapons Iran has that are buried several miles deep. I expect it'll be a massive hit. And we have this. Yes, we also had 2 KC-135s that had to make emergency landings. According to Seymour Hersh, President Trump has green-lighted the ground invasion. And U.S. intel confirms Iran rejects all talks. And also, Seymour Hersh puts out the possibility that the U.S. may use unconventional weapons, including tactical nukes, to reach Iran's deep underground bunkers that are hundreds of feet deep under granite. And we have this. U.S. intel, Russia did resupply Iran with air defense about April 1 via the Caspian Sea. President Trump has given Iran yesterday 48 hours to negotiate. If not, he greenlights the ground invasion and massive hits on Iran. So that's going on. So it's good to be in prayer for America, President Trump, U.S. military, and that we locate that missing pilot, and for world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, Billy Bean. Okay, this is one guy we haven't played finding out in a while. It's 3 minutes.
That's the thing. I guess they're canceling the whole fucking training rotation so that they can fucking emergency send our asses to go fight in the war. Nice knowing you guys. It's your dude, Jordo.
Meanwhile, Israel is currently invading Lebanon as we speak, as many of us have said they would, and many people said, no, they won't. They are. This meme is starting to become a lot more relevant, isn't it? Not to mention all the people that Hegseth has fired in the last few days. It's probably nothing, though. What do they know about war? What do they know about going to war with Iran? They're probably just traitors. That's why they're all getting fired, of course. Someone warned against this. Someone actually talked about this a long time ago. You know who that was?
I have made it clear to the Israeli leadership that I do not support their expansionist ideas. The indigenous people of that land have rights that cannot be ignored. We must find a fair solution, not one dictated by any single group.
Yeah. And what happened to him? But why is this all happening? Well, it's the reason that we've all been saying it's happening. And it has everything to do with the Epstein files. As much as people want to say it doesn't, and as much as people want to say, oh, that's just too easy, or no, that's just a conspiracy. It's really not, though. Because in addition to this, in case you didn't see, Pam Bondi was fired. And who's replacing her? Oh, it's this guy.
It is not a crime to party with Mr. Epstein. And so as horrible as it's not a crime to email with Mr. Epstein. And then some of these men may have done horrible things. And if we have evidence that allows us to prosecute them, you better believe we will. But it's also the kind of thing that the American people need to understand, that it isn't a crime to party with Mr. Epstein. It isn't a crime to
It looked like that's all that was going on in some of those photos.
Unfortunately, photos can't speak. And so we need witnesses. And we
Are there videotapes that you all have? Or?
No, there's more.
If we had information, we meaning the Department of Justice, about men who abused women, we would prosecute them.
Yeah, but see, they had the evidence. And what did they do with it?
Any depiction of CSAM or child pornography was obviously excluded. Anything that would jeopardize an active federal investigation. And finally, anything that depicts or contain images of death, physical abuse, or injury, also not produced.
And the same guy that seems to be covering up for all of this, he's saying that this was not an intelligence operation and that Epstein was not spying or working on behalf of any intelligence agency.
Who was Epstein spying for? Look, everything. I don't think he was spying for anybody. Nobody's ever said that. No? You don't think he might have been a spy for a foreign country? I have no idea if he was a spy. All I know is that we don't have any evidence in the Epstein files that the FBI collected over 15 years that suggests that, Jesse.
Yeah, this guy is the new AG. Sure seems like we're absolutely boots on the ground again for Israel. And the reason why is really simple, because everything that's in the Epstein files and the fact that Israel is absolutely using it as blackmail. But hey, I'm just a conspiracy theorist.
Okay, another important one to clip there. I got that one lady, only one from her. I got the second one from the other one.
Disagree. Not happening. And I write about NASA in my little tiny book, The Firmament Above. The link is in my bio if you want to go and see what I put in that little book. I want to be able to do videos and push so much information out there, and they prevent me from doing that. It doesn't matter what site it's on. Like I said before, I've been violated on YouTube also because I'm trying to let people know what will help them with the big C word, and they violated my video there. TikTok, forget about it. I have to keep making pages over and over. They keep violating my videos. I don't even know how this page is still up. I have an account warning, not a violation of a video, but the account, basically that it's going to come down at any point. And I don't even know how this account is still up. I did do Gen X Gen number 2 and Gen X Gen number, Gen X Gen number 3 and Gen X Gen number 4, which I haven't uploaded videos yet, but I have to keep doing backup videos. And you wonder, and I think about how are other people's pages staying up and they never come down that are pushing truth? I find that really odd. These people aren't getting violations. They're not getting their pages taken down. I question that. How do certain people's pages continue to stay up? It doesn't matter where I go. They keep violating me. They don't want me pushing truth. They don't want me pushing the research that I've done out there and helping people to wake up. I don't understand it. Even if I was, lying and telling fantasy stories and putting that out there, why, even if this stuff that I say was fake and not true, let's just say, why do they keep taking my stuff down and they're not letting me spew fake stories? It's truth, that's why. And I don't understand why they target my pages, my videos, and they don't let me wake people up to my research. And this is why I have to go and write these little tiny books and put my information out there and keep it short and sweet so people that are trying to wake up can slowly wake up and go, wait a minute, let me research what she just said. and see if she's talking truth. I have to do it that way because they keep taking my stuff down. And why are they doing that to me, but not other people? That's what I want to know. Let me wake people up to the truth. They want this indoctrination to continue on forever. I don't know, but regardless, I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep pushing truth and waking people up. And I'm going to write another book now, too. I'm going to keep getting the stuff out there so people can wake up.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they won't let people wake up, or some people's videos don't come down or their pages don't come down. It's really weird. Anyways, have a great day. I'll be back later.
Okay, only one with her today. Got the second of the other one.
The House Republicans, not the Democrats, the House Republicans led by Nancy Mace are actively working right now to pass a bill to stop all federal funding for animal research. Okay, did you know, and you might not like mice, that's okay, but let me tell you what's going on. Did you know? Now, they are drilling holes into mice's heads, into their little brains. They are injecting them with hormones and turning them transgender. I'm sorry. We already have transgender people. Shouldn't you've already done your fucking research? Why are you still doing this shit? It takes a real cool motherfucker to do animal research like this, okay? Not to mention the beagles that are still being terrorized and tormented and tortured. I don't know if you've seen my repost. This guy's been actively breaking them out of these labs, getting arrested. His people follow him. They go back in. They break these beagles out. Good for them. Did you know that they have some research on kittens, 5-week-old kittens, that they took them, strapped them to a table, strapped them on their little backs with their little paws up above their heads and their little paws on the bottom spread out, strapped them to tables, and then spun the kittens, spun them over and over and over, spun them sideways, spun them upside down, spun them as hard as they could to see how long it took for the kittens to unalive. Why do we need that fucking research? What the fuck has that got to do with anything? Sorry about my cussing. I told you I was going to calm down, but this really pisses me off.
Damn.
Why do we now need to ram mascara into rabbits' eyes? Why? What the hell is going on? And you know what? These people that are tapping in and drilling into these animals' brains, what kind of person is okay with doing that? Don't come back at me and say this is for cancer research. No, the fuck it's not. This stuff right here is to turn mice into transgenders and to see how long it takes for a kitten to die after it's spun round and round, and the beagles are being researched on is bullshit too. Anyway, House Republicans are working on a bill to stop it. It wasn't the Democrats that's doing that. Let's stop the animal abuse, for Christ's sake. Hey, animal lover.
Another important one there from her. I think we played that one. Yeah, we played that one. Ah. Oh, we got to do Q. We haven't done Q. He came out. So far with one.
Every dollar you deserve. Local tax experts are here. Hand off your taxes with confidence.
What's up, family? Welcome back to Out of the Darkness. I am Hugh. So I did a video a while back about Pam Bondi, and I was struck as being unloyal to Trump. A lot of people felt that I was being hard on her because they heard other people on other channels say that she was doing a great job and that Trump was happy with her. I don't do videos here unless I have my facts straight. Now, could I still get it wrong? I can, but I really try not to get it wrong. Now, with that being said, I was very, very comfortable with everything that I was hearing and seeing that Donald Trump was not happy with Pam Bondi. And now Pam Bondi is out. Now, the truth of it is the reason why Pam Bondi is out. Pam Bondi is out for a couple of reasons. Number one, well, three reasons. Number one, the fact that Dan Bongino could not stand Pam Bondi. We talked about that at length late last year when Dan Bongino was on his way out. He wanted Pam Bondi gone. He felt that she was not equally dedicated to getting rid of the criminal element in our country, especially those in power. And Dan Bongino didn't like it. Now, in addition to that, we had another issue that was kind of the final straw for Donald Trump anyway, when Pam Bondi decided to not go after the fraudulent auto pin usage by the Biden administration. When she dropped that case, it was kind of the last straw for Donald Trump. And then, of course, the last reason being the fact that J.D. Vance didn't want to work with her. J.D. Vance had zero interest in working with Pam Bondi because J.D. Vance was made essentially the czar of fraud. And he did not have faith that Pam Bondi was going to make the cases that he was going after and that he was overseeing stick, that these people be put in jail. And now, thank goodness, there is over 211 cases found and over 20 people that have now been arrested in the communist state of California. People who were running these rackets, medical fraud. I mean, all these hospice cases where people were actually going through hospice and surviving. The vast majority of their patients were surviving end-of-life care. So one thing was the problem. Well, there was one problem, okay, or possibly two. One problem is typically people don't come out of hospice care alive. I know that sounds terrible, but unless there be a miracle or some divine intervention, hospice is generally for end-of-life care, and people typically pass under hospice. But when the vast majority of the people under hospice care are actually surviving, either they were misdiagnosed, which is a problem, or they weren't there to begin with, or they were being held there and they should have never been in hospice. So you take your pick. But when you have thousands of cases like this, J.D. Vance has said, absolutely not. It's not going to happen. And thank God these people are actually behind bars now and going to be tried. And I believe that we're going to start seeing people in jail. Pam Bondi was a problem. And I wasn't going to come on here, and I'm still not going to come on here and say, I told you so. All I'm simply saying is that I'm glad that she's moved on. So for those of you guys that will say, no, she wasn't fired, she was moved. Listen, you do not have you're not going to be the top law enforcement professional in the country and then be promoted to a position that no one's ever heard of. That's not the case. I'm just glad that Trump has now seen that she was not the right person for the job. And I'm also glad that he has decided, rather than throw these ladies out, Kristi Noem and Bondi, and to call them names and to berate them publicly, he's decided to allow them to leave and maintain a little bit of grace. So let me know what you guys think. Comment below. I'll see you guys next time. Be blessed.
Okay, we haven't heard from Q in a while. I got a 3-short clip of Megan and partner there about Michelle Obama. I don't know if you guys saw that. And I got a new channel I want to check out. It's 10 minutes.
Important message from Michelle.
can't
She's
remember
got
if you
something
played that
new
clip.
and
don't-
innovative and shocking to tell us. It does relate to
I think it's today.
her
It's
marriage.
after now.
She had
Hey.
on Steph Curry, the basketball star, and his lovely wife, Aisha, who came on my show when I was at NBC. She's a chef, and she was so effervescent. She was like sparkling in her personality. She was very warm, very sweet. I've never met him. But they went on Michelle's Loser podcast. Unfortunately, someone misled them. And here's the first exchange I'm going to show you in 17.
Aisha, I love that you are plain spoken in life, and sort of like me, but sometimes, you know, you're stating what feels like the obvious sometimes in life, and then people interpret that the wrong way, right? And you know, I love your vulnerability and your honesty, because I think that's what helps people. You know, it's like, it's one thing to be hashtag relationship goals, but it's another to tell the truth about what it takes. And I tend to do that when I talk about the challenges of marriage, and that it's not all that. It's like, I love my husband, I like my husband, you know, but we also want to be a part of helping couples understand that it does take work, and it is hard, even in the best marriages.
These are what we call lies.
I you know who I feel most sorry for there is Craig.
Brother Craig.
Sitting there like a lump on a log. I got to hear this shit again. All right.
Again. It's nonstop.
And I'm sorry, but let's just have some real talk. Aisha is sitting next to, he is a huge
Michelle Obama, because we teach.
Hey, clip number 2. This ain't too bad of a clip.
I do believe this is the deal. When you're a woman married to a pro player at that level, part of the deal is you look the other way. Michelle Obama wants to have a real conversation about that.
Oh,
I'm all in.
Everyone would listen to that.
Instead of this generic boilerplate, marriage can be hard work. I mean, you know, I just love to remind people it's not all that, you know, I mean.
And then she's got to make it about herself, Hoda, right? Like, just why don't you just interview your guest instead of being like, she's working out her own issues, you know, like, you have to be honest about how hard it is, and then there's blowback and people misunderstand you. I try to do that on this show. I don't sugarcoat anything, even though I definitely like Barack and I love Barack. Oh, sure, Jan, sure. No one believes that.
Like, no one believes that. And as we're watching her and listening to her, so we don't know this. I just believe that she's on a GLP-1.
Oh.
And
yeah, probably. She's a lot thinner than she used to be.
But it's not just that she's lost a lot of weight. It's that now her face is beginning to become very wizened, and she's beginning to have some skin sagging, like real drooping.
What does wizened mean?
It's like think of like the Wicked Witch of the West, like old and dry, and like you've got some folds in there.
Oh, no, you don't want that. Yeah.
And
starting to hide it with the hair.
She's trying exactly. That's a great catch. She's trying to hide what's going on there with the hair. And then she's losing all of her muscle mass because the GLP-1s eat that up.
They eat up your muscles.
But what I feel like we're seeing is the outsides matching the insides, where it's just this constant, it's a war of attrition in there, and she's always going to lose because Michelle Obama is not interested in being happy.
Yeah.
She's not.
My producer watched the whole thing. I wasn't going to do that. I love you, but not that much. And she said
the huge star.
Yes.
Steph Curry is adored. People love him. I do believe this is the deal. When you're a woman married to a pro player at that level, part of the deal is you look the other way. Michelle Obama wants to have a real conversation about that.
Oh,
I'm all in.
Everyone would listen to that.
Instead of this
I think that replayed, didn't it? I think that was replay. Part 3.
Negative, and Aisha Curry just being like, oh well, it's fine, you know, like her, she's positive and optimistic, and I think actually does love her husband, unlike her interviewer, who is none of those things and is not in love and sees her marriage and her children as sources of misery. So it was a complete mismatch here. Let's take another look at some of the exchange in SOT 18.
And it gets easier over time. I mean, I've been saying this a lot. It's like I'm 62 now,
Once the children
and
leave.
it wasn't until my 50s that I felt like I could claim what I know.
Understood.
You know, and I think that may be a woman thing, right? I mean, men are encouraged to, you know, like, you a man at 20. It's like, you don't know anything, you know? I mean, you both were the men in high school. You didn't know anything,
I
you
didn't
know,
know it.
but you're handed that, you know, you're encouraged to be that, right? Whereas us as women, we're always second guessing ourselves and wondering, he doesn't really like me. And we don't get to make the first move sometimes in life, you know? And I'm trying to figure out what that is, because it's not that I wasn't confident, but it took me a while to be like, I know what I'm talking about.
Oh my God. Do you? I think you should go back to the way you were in your 40s. You were right then, not now.
I truly don't know what she's talking about, because I'm listening to her say, we as women, I wasn't able to, I don't know what claim what I know means.
Right.
Like, okay, so you have things you know, but you can't claim them. But if you know them, they're inside of you. So who else would be claiming those things? Like, I don't get it, right? And then she says, you know, we're not told to
whole exchange.
Okay, that was a new. Hey, Maria. Yeah, that was that interview just came out like 10 hours ago. But that was it. So, Starfire, I got one from Benny just now. This video just came out. This one's a rumor again. Where do I? Okay.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. Happy early Easter, a holy weekend. Instead of spending time with their non-existent families or questioning their mortal souls and where they're going to spend eternity, or hiding Easter eggs for all I care, and libs on the internet have decided to spread a rumor that President Trump is dying in a hospital. This is the #1 trend
Here we go.
in the world right now. You can see here a very small sampling of hundreds, if not thousands, of accounts that are openly speculating that Donald Trump is at Walter Reed Hospital. And the reason why is that President Trump hasn't been seen today. Donald Trump is ubiquitous. Wherever he goes, people can see him. He's often at Mar-a-Lago and so on and so forth, golfing or doing an event. The president never stops, but neither do libs, and they're truly pathological fake news. You really need to start asking questions like, are these people healthy at all? Like, should they be the ones who are hospitalized, perhaps forcibly, right? Like in mental institutions. Look at this. Breaking. Speculation is rising that Donald Trump is at Walter Reed Medical Center. 7.5 million views. I'm doing this because I want to show you exactly how critical it is, channels like ours. And I just want to say thank you for subscribing, for tuning in, for helping support our channel just by watching, because this is how powerful left-wing fake news actually is. I'm going to prove to you how fake it is, but look at this, 7.5 million views on something that is a verifiable lie. There is growing speculation that Donald Trump is currently at Walter Reed Medical. It's an emergency. It's an emergency. Donald Trump at Walter Reed? Oh, no. Oh, boy. People are even tagging me. When will fake Trump shills like Nick Sotor and Benny Johnson try to come out and convince you that everything is fine and nothing to see here, folks, is going on. Look, retards, I said that this is unconfirmed. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's go ahead and see. What is the post here? Oh, okay. Here's the post. They're tagging me, calling me retarded with this video of a bunch of cop cars heading through a city, a town, saying that this is Donald Trump being rushed to the hospital. Just one small problem here for Project Constitution is that video is from Butler, Pennsylvania. This video is from July 2024, after the Trump rally in Butler, where the president was shot in the head. This is not Walter Reed. Jackwagon. You posted a video from 2024, filmed in a different state, and trying to pretend that this is the situation happening in Washington, D.C. today, and calling it journalism. Hilarious. Okay. Why do you care so much, bro? Well, because it's Trump after he was shot in the head. Yeah. Okay. Is Trump dead? Everyone says, is Trump dead? Look at this. You're getting hundreds of thousands of views, hundreds of thousands of reposts. Like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for helping us try and fight this. My blood was boiling here. Is Donald Trump at Walter Reed right now? There are rumors swirling that he is. All this is just engagement bait, obviously. They're trying to get paid, and it makes you sick because it does make a lot of news. It is a big trend. Reports claim that Trump has been admitted to Walter Reed Medical Center. He's in critical condition. White House takes action. Okay. So let's go ahead and see what's actually happening here, because the White House has responded to this. A Marine sentry is standing at the door of the West Wing as of 1:50 p.m., not too long ago, indicating the president is working from inside. Saturday at 1:50 p.m. outside of Walter Reed Medical Center, no Marine One, no motorcade, all the roads are open. When the president is somewhere, it sure doesn't look this tranquil. So that's silly, obviously easily disproven. There's never been a president who's worked harder for the American people than President Trump. On this Easter weekend, he's been working nonstop at the White House and the Oval Office, God bless him, from presidential spokesperson Stephen Chung. So we're doing the Trump is dying at Walter Reed news cycle again this weekend. Cringe. Speculation continues to circulate that Donald Trump may be at Walter Reed. However, there's been no confirmation in the White House, any official source. Amid the rumors, Trump posted this on social media within the past hour, adding uncertainty to the claims. If you import the
I got receipts. I saw President Trump just now on the video 5 minutes ago. I'll be playing it next.
third world, you become the third world. That's not going to happen. How does this add uncertainty to the claims? This is one of the best statements Donald Trump's ever made. It actually proves the opposite. By speculation, you made it up. They literally made it up. I'm guessing that has to do with circumstances surrounding Iran. If he went to Mar-a-Lago, he'd be getting shit for that too, lying about bruises. Come on, bro. He's on his deathbed because of bruises. He's the West Wing per CBS. Yeah, everyone keeps saying, you know what? It's just because we haven't seen him. Well, you know, you didn't see Joe Biden for 4 flipping years. Joe Biden disappeared for 12 straight days in the middle of the presidential election cycle. 12 days Joe Biden was not seen on camera. We still don't know which Joe Biden emerged after that. We still have no idea. It could be number 4. I happen to like Joe Biden number 2. He happened to be my favorite Joe Biden, but which Joe Biden clone was your favorite? No, reminiscing, you know, the happy times. I'm not a MAGA guy, but this logic is a joke. Probably engagement farming. He's been huddling with his cabinet and national security team. He's doing a ton of war planning and whatnot. This is Easter weekend. It's possible to not like Trump and not push these dumb conspiracy theories with zero evidence. There is zero evidence. Meanwhile, Biden put a lid out every single day at 10 a.m. for 4 years, barely took any questions from reporters without pre-written questions submitted, and walked into the bushes, and you said nothing. Yeah. Criminal disinformation. The accounts should be suspended that do this.
There's one thing to just like in the heat of the moment, get like a fact wrong or something. Oh, they bombed southeastern Iran. Oh, it was southwestern Iran, whatever. It's a totally different thing to make up, fabricate a fake story saying that the president is dying with no evidence. Remember when they thought that Trump was dead because it was Labor Day weekend and the media didn't have any garbage to spew about him? It's Easter, and now they're doing the same thing. Do they have a psychiatry section there? These are two pictures taken today. You can see notorious propagandist Eddie Krasenstein made up another lie about Trump just to get paid. You know, rent's due. That's what's going on with Krasenstein. Rent's due. So irritating. White House continues. It's fake news alert. This is a total lie. White House continues to body, obviously, so they bodied Eddie Krasenstein. No, you're just a weapons grade moron. Well done, White House. What was President Trump doing? Well, President Trump posted this video. Many of Iran's military leaders who led them poorly and unwisely terminated along with much else in this massive strike in Tehran. President Trump has been in the White House. We confirmed that. He has been there all weekend. Mark Halperin noting wisely, the biggest tell of the weekend is about what happened, not the president's Truth Social post, and it's not the reports of additional U.S. aircraft possibly on the move in the region. No, the biggest tell is this. President Trump did not go to Mar-a-Lago this weekend, and he has no public schedule as he stays at the White House. It is like, obviously makes maybe concerning that there's going to be some type of escalation. Hopefully there'll be some type of peace. Peace by Easter, the Prince of Peace. That'd be wonderful. Every account reporting that President Trump's at Walter Reed Medical Center for some kind of emergency should be permanently banned from the platform. They know this is false and they're flouting the rules. I agree with that. Not a cancel culture guy, but like what's going on here is they're trying to earn money off of making up a fake rumor about President Trump's health, saying that he's dead or dying with zero evidence. So
I might go
the
to
definition of engagement bait, rage
go
bait, engagement farming,
guys.
and it should stop. It should be punished, not rewarded by monetization on X. Anyway, it's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. This is why we do this. Why we run this channel, for the truth, right? Because these views, these posts have been seen by tens of millions of people. So we're trying to.
Okay, so yep, another rumor. It's just probably just get people all excited. Yep, Maria.
Only at Harbor Freight.
This Holy Week, I'm proud to join with Christians across the country and around the world to celebrate the most glorious miracle in all of time, the resurrection of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. In his life, Christ displayed true humility. In his death, he modeled true love. And in his resurrection from the tomb, he proved that even death itself will not silence those who place their trust in Almighty God. As it says in Gospel of John, for God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, for whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life. Eternal life, such beautiful words. This Easter, millions of Christians all over the globe will be reminded that because of what Jesus did on the cross, all of us can live every day with hope in God's promise, knowing that in the end, evil and wickedness will not prevail. In the spirit of joy and renewal this Easter, we also celebrate the extraordinary resurrection of faith and religion in America. As I have often said, to be a great nation, you must have religion and you must have God. In churches across the nation on Sunday, the pews will be fuller, younger, and more faithful than they have at any time in many, many years. Religion is growing again in our country for the first time in decades. Happy Easter to all. May God bless you. May God bless the United States of America. Our country is doing so well like never before. Thank you.
Right there, ladies and gentlemen, is President Donald Trump.
He seemed fine to me. Oh wait, I want to play this one, the 3-word news channel, before I get to the other 10-minute one. Out of Pennsylvania.
Okay, get ready for this one. Recently, videos and images started to surface out of the town of Katanning, Pennsylvania, where ICE agents started to arrest people at a DMV.
Got a lot of visitors today, don't we? We do. Where are y'all from?
You're not allowed to be photographing in here.
So here's where things get interesting. As of right now, we haven't heard anything from Homeland Security as far as this operation being conducted at a DMV in Pennsylvania. But when I was doing some research on this topic, trying to figure out what's going on here, we have photos of ICE agents arresting people, so there must be some sort of announcement. I found this. ICE proposed 30-day surge. Lancaster, York law enforcement were uninterested. So when you dig into the details of the article, it turns out Homeland Security has wanted to do some sort of 30-day federal surge in the state of Pennsylvania. So of course we're going to dig into this because these images and videos, they're starting to go pretty viral, and I think people want answers. However, we don't really have an answer from Homeland Security as of right now. So real quick, before we start this video, make sure to please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, and it also helps others see the videos as well. And I think people are going to want to take a look into this and try to figure out what's happening. So let's start with this clip right here. This is the clip that started to go very viral on the internet right now.
Your day-to-day covered with Base 44 super agents. Your life is chaotic. Set up a personal...
Okay, so that video was posted by Kim Katie USA on X. Make sure to go give her a follow. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. That video was not that eventful. Why is this going viral? And by the way, on X, this was one of the top trending topics on this website. So here's what's going on. So it turns out the town of Katanning is a small town. We're talking about 3,000 to 4,000 people live there, according to the US Census. So what am I trying to say? Well, when a bunch of people randomly show up to a small town near you, it's not really that surprising that all of a sudden, a bunch of residents from that town, they start to ask questions and they start to take videos and pictures. And if you do your own research, a lot of people from this town started to ask questions and they were like, what is going on right now? Here's a raw video from this DMV.
What is already got the license plates? Look at that shit. And look at the fuck what they get to drive.
They have to...
What caused?
What they have to...
Yeah.
Look. They're all from... Is that Jersey?
And I do want to point out, when you go on the ground within Google Maps, there's really not a lot going on here. I mean, it's a pretty cute town. It's one of those small towns in Pennsylvania, rural Pennsylvania. They have a Rite Aid, but other than that, a auto service, Flynn's Tire, shout out to them, not a sponsor, but this is like a regular old town, a small town you would see in Pennsylvania, especially within this portion of Pennsylvania. So again, I'm trying to lay out the evidence here that many people started to ask questions and take videos, and one person actually just started asking them, "Where are you from?"
Hey, where are you guys from? China. You don't look like China. China. You live in Katanning? You guys from Katanning? This will be all over the media.
I do want to point out this is a separate video than the first one we saw. There were a bunch of people taking videos and pictures and trying to figure out what's going on in their small town.
Hey, good to see all you guys. Where are you from?
From Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan.
Pakistan. You live in Katanning. Got a lot of visitors today, don't we?
We do.
Where are y'all from?
You're not allowed to be photographing in here.
Well, then you're going to have to call the
Okay, then he goes, well, then you're going to have to call the police. Again, keep in mind, as of right now, as I make this video, we don't know what was happening. There's a lot of theories out there, but again, why this gets interesting is that we know ICE showed up. And there's literally no denying it because we can cross-reference images. Here is the video we just watched. We can see a red truck in the corner here, and then we can cross-reference a still shot of people being arrested by ICE. There's the red truck. So again, we have no idea what happened here. But what we do know is that federal agents, they started to chase people and start to arrest people. And again, there's no denying it. You can literally see clearly marked as ICE. And I also want to point out they're not wearing masks either. And again, we have another still shot right here. Okay, so again, we have no idea what was happening. We don't have any confirmation from Homeland Security. On my channel, I try not to speculate too hard in one direction because I don't want to lead anyone down the wrong path when this whole time ICE may have accidentally stumbled upon this entire event. So I was trying to do a lot more digging into what this possibly could be. And again, I found this. ICE proposed 30-day surge. Lancaster, York law enforcement were uninterested. So, to be clear, the town of Katanning would not be involved with the proposed 30-day federal surge. However, what I do want to point out is this field office is known for wanting to surge, and many people never really hear about it. And if you want some evidence, here you go. Partnership with West Virginia leads to 650 illegal aliens arrested in 2 weeks, including drug traffickers, violent offenders, and burglars. And yes, this is West Virginia. However, the field office in Philadelphia, they oversee the areas of West Virginia and Pennsylvania as well. And when this operation took place, we actually covered it or didn't cover it because nobody even knew this was happening. This was a 2-week mission that really had zero coverage. We saw no clashes. No Americans were arrested. However, 650 illegal immigrants, they were arrested. So I do want to point out this specific field office is actually known for conducting federal surges that nobody really hears about until after the fact. So here are the details. At the end of October, an immigration and customs enforcement staffer emailed 8 of its partner law enforcement agencies in Lancaster and York counties to coordinate federal immigration removal operations. Those partnerships allow local law enforcement officers certain authority to cooperate with federal immigration. And here's the exact wording. ICE is looking to conduct a 30-day surge in your area. wrote Joseph Dunn, Assistant Field Office Director out of ICE's Philadelphia office. Exact dates have not been set, but we are looking to start before the end of the year. That would be at the end of 2025. Of course, now we're in 2026, but we're getting insight that ICE has been wanting to conduct some sort of operation within Pennsylvania, a 30-day federal surge. Exact dates have not been set, but we are looking to start before the end of the year. We would be able to surge additional ICE officers to work with your officers during a 30-day period. Let me know if this is something you can support. So, interesting enough, none of the agencies wanted to cooperate with ICE. WITF asked each of the law enforcement agencies about the request. The 5 agencies responded, said ICE never followed up. No surge has taken place to date, according to statements from the Mahenham Borough, Northwest Regional Police Department, and West York Borough Chiefs of Police. A spokesperson for the Lancaster County District Attorney and Corryville's Director of Public Safety, Mahenham's Borough and Northwest Regional Police Department Chiefs also said either limited capacity or need were the reasons they did not engage with ICE's surge request. And by the way, that is by far the number one reason why we see a lot of departments not working with ICE. For these federal surges, you need a lot of resources and a lot of dedicated officers who might be working overtime, which means some of these budgets might be going over as far as trying to pay police officers. In fact, we're seeing that over in Minneapolis right now. Of course, the mayor of Minneapolis and others, the city of Minneapolis, city councilors are complaining how much money this actually cost to have the police department try to work not directly with ICE, but around ICE in Minneapolis. So why is that information relevant today? Well, when you try to do your own research into this DMV raid or the DMV arrest that we see on video and these pictures, the trending theory right now, again, a theory, that is my disclaimer, we don't know if this is true. People are speculating that there was some sort of group text or messages exchange to tell people to go and get their CDL and other certifications certified at this one specific DMV. And why is this a theory? Again, a theory. Well, some journalists pointed out when you go to this specific DMV and you go to their reviews, the 5-star reviews have skyrocketed, and some of the messaging is just notable. And I will leave it at that. You guys can go and read into it yourself. But many people are pointing out, it's just a little interesting that the 5-star reviews all shot up on this one specific day around the time of when ICE agents started to show up. And when you start to look at the local Facebook posts and local interactions as far as this area of the country, Katanning, many people are also speculating about this DMV and trying to get records. Again, a lot of speculation going on, but as someone who's trying to report all the different sides here, I'm simply just trying to let you know that is the trending side of speculation as far as what people are assuming happened here. Again, where we get into this gray area is that ICE just showed up. The big question is, who called them? Was ICE already stationed there? Was this a setup? We have no idea. Is this an ongoing federal surge that we did not hear about, and this specific field office is known for doing that? That could also be a theory. But one thing I will tell you is this. Make sure to please subscribe to my channel because I will keep you up to date. And when we get all of the facts, I will do my best to give you guys those facts because that is very crucial. If you speculate too hard, that's never always a good thing.
So that's a good channel to listen to. He does a good job. So let me know what you guys think about this guy. I played him before, but I wasn't sure if you liked him or not.
This is Ask Members Anything.
ICE has been going into overdrive with these targeted operations, especially in Minnesota and Illinois. And we finally got the numbers from Operation Midway Blitz. But with huge action by ICE also comes huge action from the deranged left. And now they are suing ICE, trying to once again say that these arrests are illegal, possibly freeing thousands of illegals in the process.
It just seems unthinkable that the government would try and have this kind of power grab.
New tonight, a half dozen people are suing the Homeland Security Department over warrantless raids. The lawsuit claims that ICE directed agents to go into homes without a judge's approval during the immigration crackdown here. Fox 9's Mike Manzoni went through the court filings tonight. And Mike, this case could go all the way to the Supreme Court.
Randy, that is what one of the attorneys on the case told me tonight. It all centers on an alleged internal memo from last year that the suit claims instructed agents to raid homes without a judicial warrant. The lawsuit says that policy is unconstitutional. This North Minneapolis ICE raid in January is now part of a lawsuit against the Homeland Security Department.
That is exactly the type of conduct that the framers of the Fourth Amendment did not want.
The ACLU of Minnesota and other legal groups are suing DHS on behalf of 6 Twin Cities immigrants and U.S. citizens. ACLU attorney Terry Nelson claims that a secret memo instructed ICE agents to go into homes with only an administrative warrant, which is not the same as a warrant signed by a judge.
A secret memo. So we don't know where this memo came from. We don't know if it's legit or not. Was it printed up and then spread around as if it were a real memo? DHS never came out and said that we officially released this memo and it really is from us. As a matter of fact, they denied it. So we don't even know if this is a legit memo or not. And I'm surprised this case is even moving forward in the court. But this is coming out of Minnesota. So honestly, what do you expect, right?
They are essentially saying that because people have a final order of removal, that the existence of a final order of removal somehow gives them a different authority than what the Fourth Amendment requires.
The officers walked up to my door and started ramming the door.
Show the warrant first.
Tayana Gibson Brown testified on Capitol Hill in February about what happened when federal agents stormed into her Minneapolis home in January to arrest her husband.
10 officers that were all armed were standing in front of me and my family. Words can never be sufficient for me to portray what sorts of horror we.
Yeah, she 100% did not write that speech that she's reading. 100% did not write that.
Felt in this moment.
And we reached out to Homeland Security officials tonight for comment, but have not heard back yet, Randy.
Okay, so we'll see where this goes. But the problem with this is if that's the case, I don't know what the court will do. If they go through with this, and we know how corrupt these courts are. In Chicago, they did the same thing, and they were able to release, I think it was like 600 illegal immigrants back into the wild, even though they were still in custody of ICE. They were supposed to be released on bond. And so they all got to roam free and be let out. And now we're supposed to trust that they're going to come back to court when they're called for. And now they're going to try to do the same thing here in Minneapolis. Well, we finally do got numbers about how many people were actually arrested in Midway Blitz in Illinois. So let's go ahead and check that out. Let's see what the damage was done by ICE during these huge operations.
For the first time, we're seeing a full picture of the number of people apprehended in Chicago by immigration agents during the enforcement surge last fall. Data released through a court ruling documents thousands of people taken into custody, one as young as 2 years old.
You see how they pull on your heartstrings? What were they supposed to do? Leave the 2-year-old in his crib? Hey, we're taking your mommy and daddy. We're sending them back to Mexico. But you good? Like, they're just supposed to leave him in there?
What do you guys
Federal
think of this guy?
officers swarming Chicago streets.
You all right?
In communities across the city, immigration authorities making hundreds of arrests, sending shockwaves throughout Chicago. And now the I-Team has learned how many people were caught up in the Trump administration's dragnet. You can see from the start of the year what appears to be steady numbers of arrests by immigration authorities in Illinois from 100 to 300, January through August. Then Operation Midway Blitz starts in September. Apprehensions ticking up to 763. Then the highest we've seen, more than 2,000 people apprehended in October, more than 800 in November, then down to 350 in December. That government data provided in response to a FOIA lawsuit by the Deportation Data Project and analyzed by the ABC7 I-Team. Our analysis revealing there were more immigration apprehensions in Illinois during Operation Midway Blitz than 2023 and 2024 combined, with more than...
Yeah, so is anyone really surprised by that? I mean, that's Joe Biden, the one who's let the gates wide open and allowed illegal immigrants to flood into his country, why would he want ICE to go and get his voter base and kick him out of the country? Why would he want that, right? So I can totally see why we arrested more in 1 month than he did in 2 years. That's incredible, man.
90% of them concentrated in and around Chicago. President Trump and the Department of Homeland Security repeatedly told the public these enforcement operations were to find and remove the, quote, worst of the worst. However, our analysis showed nearly 60% of those apprehended since the start of Midway Blitz had no criminal history at all.
Does anyone care? I don't care about this. They put this up on the screen. They're like, wow, look at the numbers. 58% don't even have a criminal history. That's because they haven't been caught. That's because, and first of all, why should any of them have a criminal history? If they had a criminal history, they should have been arrested. That means they got arrested and they should have been deported immediately from there. So what are we talking about? That they have no criminal history. None of that really adds up. It doesn't really compute the way they think it is, but that's just their stupid talking point. I don't know why they stick to that. I guess people on the left are just that dumb to where they think, wow, that's oh my goodness, they had no criminal history. They're just innocent people that came into the country illegally trying to live a better life.
Another one that's 10
And that's
minutes.
supposed to excuse what they did here,
Well,
breaking the law,
10
crossing over
minutes.
the border illegally. That's supposed to excuse that. No, we're good on that. Okay, I don't care even slightly, even a tiny bit, if they had a criminal history or not. Are they illegal? If the answer is yes, they got to go. And plain as simple as that.
All 23% had pending charges, either misdemeanor or felony, and 18% had a past misdemeanor or felony conviction. Then the deportations.
It was a terrible feeling.
I'm sorry, sir. In English, please.
The I-Team speaking last week with one man arrested and deported to Honduras, back home to Chicago, now seeking due process. He's among the few who've come back. Our analysis found more than half of the people arrested, more than 2,400 people, have already been deported. More than half with no criminal history. The data also revealing for the first time how many children were apprehended by agents. 162 people under the age of 18 detained in Illinois since the Blitz began. The youngest, just 2 years old.
Oh no. Okay. Listen, they're over here talking about all this stuff and all these numbers. What do I see? I see that number right there, 2,400. And I say, let's go. Let's celebrate, y'all. 2,400 deported out of the country. Gone. 2,400 Democrat voters gone. Okay. Now look, I don't care about none of that. All I care about is this right here. So the number of that 1 month was 2,074 arrests. These are just arrests, meaning there's probably more people that are in detainment that are going to be deported soon. But what I do see is even though we left and even though Operation Midway Blitz is over, the arrest numbers are still higher this year in Illinois than they were the previous year. So I love to see the ramp up and I love to see these numbers climbing. That's all I really care about. I don't care about all that other stuff they're talking about. But speaking of Democrat voters, we need fair elections. And right now there's a big investigation unfolding in California regarding voter fraud. I got a video on that and you need to check it out so you understand what's happening, and you can check out that.
Okay. So yeah, he stops his video like Cash does. So yeah, I'm gonna play another 10-minute one. Then we'll finish off with the short videos.
We are learning just how much money was spent by a recent fraud ring that was busted by JD Vance's new task force in Operation Never Say Die. And also why cracking down on fraud is not only what the American citizens want, but also necessary to get our country out of this massive debt we are currently being being crushed by.
Then there's this. Vice President J.D. Vance's anti-fraud task force already getting to work, suspending a total of 221 California hospice providers suspected of fraud. And that's just in Los Angeles alone. FBI and SWAT teams reportedly arrested a large number of these individuals yesterday morning, including two accused of taking upwards of $7 million illegally. And here's what Vance posted on X. Our task force isn't wasting any time cracking down on fraud. Federal law enforcement is taking down fraudsters who stole $50 million plus from Americans by defrauding our healthcare and hospice systems. The task force only expected the arrest number to grow in the coming weeks, they say. Maria's going to be speaking with Los Angeles mayoral candidate Spencer Pratt on Tuesday to talk about his plan to reshape and fix the city of Los Angeles. And you know what, Erica? I am so thrilled about this task force from the vice president. This might be one of the most important things this administration, Erica, has done thus far, because there's so much anger out there from American taxpayers, large and small, who say, I work hard to pay my taxes only to see billions of it stolen and either sent overseas in bags of cash on airplanes, or in the case of Los Angeles, by these hospice providers who are just pocketing the money.
Absolutely. And this follows, they'll have their work cut out for them, because you're following these citizen journalists, most recently Chris Rufo, City Journal, who put out a report that $150 billion, 25% of Med-Cal is also lost to fraud. That's in addition to what has already been announced by Vice President Vance. So this follows Minnesota, Nick Shirley, and what he uncovered. I think the American people, as you said, they're very upset about this, because we do work hard to pay these taxes, and to see it be wasted away in fraud is infuriating. There's a lot of that to crack down on. So glad to see Vice President Vance getting to.
We're not just mad because of that. We're mad because a lot of these people that are fraudsters are foreigners. A lot of these people, some of them are migrants, right? And they come into this country. We gave them an opportunity to live here and to thrive here, and they abused our system. Somali fraudsters. We got Indian fraudsters. We got all sorts of foreign fraudsters. As a matter of fact, I rarely ever see white people or even Hispanic or Asian people involved in this fraud. It seems to be like always Somali people, Indian people, mostly Muslims, to be honest with you. A lot of Muslims involved in this fraud. And that's why we're so pissed, because these people, we gave them an opportunity and they abused it. And then they treat us like crap. Like, how dare you question us about what's going on here? You think I'm stealing your money? You're just being racist. Stuff like that. That's what they always run to. They pull the racist card on us every single time we try to question them about this fraud. And even Keith Ellison saved the fraudsters in the Feeding Our Future scandal case, the biggest fraud case in Minnesota history, one of the biggest in our country's history. He saved them by saying and claiming that the reason they were going after them was based on racism. All right. So enough of that. We are done with that. Enough of this Islamophobic crap. No, we need to really look at these fraudsters, these people that are running these companies, and we need to really deep dive into it. I'm so glad, man. I'm so glad JD Vance is now the fraud czar, and he's really going after all this. Fraud task force arrests 221 California hospice workers, and he only got started last week. This task force only got started last week, man. And Gavin Newsom wants to sit there and say, oh, I'm so glad the federal government's finally getting to action. Where were you, Gavin Newsom? Where were you? Oh, I'll tell you where you were. You were over here raking in the money with everyone else.
You're going to see this Department of Justice pour all of our heart and soul into fraud cases all over this country for the foreseeable future.
So the Trump administration is vowing to crack down on fraud, and this just in from the president. Vice President J.D. Vance, he says, is now in charge of fraud in the United States. It's massive and pervasive, and the job he will be doing, his focus will be everywhere, but primarily in those blue states where crooked Democrat politicians and numbers are so large that if successful, we would literally be able to balance our American budget. Raids have already started in L.A., and that's...
Remember that. He said, we're going to blue states and blue cities first, primarily, which is awesome because that's where a lot of the fraud is happening. I'm not going to sit here and say that Texas doesn't have its fair share of fraud. We got a massive amount of fraud over here that definitely needs to be cleaned out. But Texas has implemented something like Doge here in our state. California, they don't want to do none of that. Actually have accountability for where taxpayer dollars go. They don't want to do none of that. Now, what you see here, right? $50 million was stolen from this one ring, this one healthcare fraud ring. Now, we just heard 8 arrests were done from this fraud ring. And when we hear 50 million, you know, to us, I think we're like desensitized to the amount of fraud that's happening in our country. Because I hear 50 million and I think, oh, that's not that much. You know, Somali fraudsters steal a couple hundred here and there. And these guys only stole 50. Oh, that's not that much. But that's a lot of money, man. That is a huge amount of money, especially when you think this is only one small fraud ring. Imagine the countless others there are. Imagine how many more of them have stolen more than $50. It just adds up over and over and over. And who's taking the brunt of this punishment? You and me are, the taxpayers. The people that live in this country, work hard. We try to chase the American dream the right way, and we end up getting screwed over. And these Democrat politicians, they couldn't care less about us. As a matter of fact, if we speak out about it, we're just being racist or xenophobic or Islamophobic or whatever, right? This is just conspiracy theories that they Somali fraudsters stole $19 billion. Yeah, we'll see what happens when JD Vance cracks down in Minnesota, which I cannot wait until he gets to Minnesota because we're stuck in California right now. And look, California is probably the pit of hell when it comes to fraud because it's so big. There's so much money flowing through there, right? They spend ridiculous amounts of tax dollars in California. Their healthcare budget, or I'm sorry, the amount of money they've lost to Medi-Cal is more than most states spend in their entire state budget. That is a tremendous amount of money. Okay.
Base 44 super agents. The next thing you can't live without. No setup. Just say hello.
So
2 minutes.
I love that this is happening. And this is exactly what needs to happen. This could save the midterms. It could bring people that dipped on Donald Trump over the past year. It could bring them back when they see this amount of accountability and action taking place. Not to mention, we got a new AG about to come in, and we don't know what we're going to be in store for that. But not only that, this is going to be amazing in JD Vance's 2028 campaign. He will be able to say, I took down these fraudsters, and if you vote me in, we're going to keep the MAGA America First Trump policies going, and we're going to double down on fraud, and we're going to double down on mass deportations. As a matter of fact, Trump's presidency right now is kind of like the stepping stone for who comes next. Trump is taking on all the hard parts. He's dealing with the leftist opposition, the courts filing all these cases, and then once all this stuff gets cleared away, once we finally have answers for this, it's going to set up a clean slate for the next president, hopefully conservative, hopefully JD Vance or Marco Rubio. One of those two has to take over. I don't care which one, honestly. One of them has to. But we cannot have a Democrat run. But they will have everything in place for them to just pick up and just run and just at full speed. Mass deportations, arrests of corrupt politicians, all sort of, the SAVE Act will be in place. We'll have legal and fair elections again. All this stuff that Trump is doing right now sets up the next presidency. And if we lose it to a Democrat, all that goes away. Every single bit of it. That's why voting is so important, guys. You got to pay attention to your elections. Look up your local elections right now. When can you vote? How can you vote? There may be special elections you're not even aware about, where a Democrat's about to flip a seat or take over your city right now that you don't know about. So pay attention and look into these things, all right? But speaking of all these court cases that need to be out of the way, we need verdicts for, the ACLU is attempting to sue ICE and to release thousands of illegal immigrants back into the wild, okay? It's a crazy story, and you got to check it out. You can see that video right here.
Okay, so those were two good ones. So we got another channel to keep an eye on. So the last 25 minutes, I'm going to do 5 minutes and under videos. I got a bunch of those. We'll be going on the shorts. This just came out, a two-parter, 5 minutes.
A rigid hull inflatable boat cuts its engine. 8 men slide into the water without a sound. They are not SEALs. They are not CIA paramilitary. They are United States Marines, Force Reconnaissance, and they are 400 meters from an IRGC command vessel anchored inside Iranian territorial waters. 12 minutes later, Brigadier General Hassan Mohebi, commander of IRGC naval operations in the Strait of Hormuz, is flex-cuffed, hooded, and being transferred to a waiting MH-60S Seahawk. The man who personally designed Iran's mine-laying strategy in the Strait. The man who coordinated the fast attack boat swarms that struck 17 civilian tankers, gone, removed from the battlefield in complete silence. Tehran does not know it yet. Washington is not talking, and you are about to understand exactly how this happened and why it changes everything. To understand why capturing Mohebi matters, you have to understand what he actually controlled. The Strait of Hormuz, Mohebi owned that gap. As IRGC Naval Operations Commander, he directly commanded 3 assets that made the strait lethal. First, a fleet of over 1,500 fast attack craft. Small fiberglass hulls running at 50 knots, each capable of carrying a Nasser-1 anti-ship missile. Second, a network of EM-52 rocket-propelled mines, devices that sit dormant on the seafloor and fire upward into the hull of a passing vessel when triggered by magnetic or acoustic signature. Third, a coastal radar and communication architecture that tied all of it together, feeding targeting data from mountain-embedded sensors directly to the fast boat crews below. Remove those assets, and Iran still has ballistic missiles. Remove the man who coordinates all 3 simultaneously in real time inside the strait, and Iran's asymmetric naval doctrine doesn't just weaken, it goes blind. That was the calculation. Here is where most analysts get the story wrong. They focus on the Marines. The real story is what delivered them. The USS Somerset, a San Antonio-class amphibious transport dock, had been repositioned 60 nautical miles southwest of Bandar Abbas 9 days before the operation. On paper, it is a ship designed to carry and project Marines into contested littoral environments. In practice, it is a floating command and launch node, capable of deploying force reconnaissance elements by both helicopter and fast craft simultaneously, coordinating the extraction and providing medical stabilization for captured personnel, all without breaking radio silence. San Antonio-class ships carry a well deck, a flooded internal bay that opens at the stern and releases rigid-hull inflatable boats directly into the water, concealed from aerial observation. No crane lift, no visible deck activity, no radar signature change. The boat is simply in the water, and then it isn't visible anymore. The Somerset also carried an MQ-8C Fire Scout unmanned helicopter that had been conducting pattern-of-life surveillance on Mohebi's command vessel for 6 consecutive days. Not looking for weapons, not tracking the ship's course, tracking one man's movement schedule. When he slept, when he moved between decks, when his personal security detail rotated, when the vessel's own radar went into low power mode between 0200 and 0400 local time. 6 days of data, one 12-minute window, 8 Marines. The math worked. Force reconnaissance operates under a doctrine the Marine Corps calls direct action, short-duration strikes against specific high-value targets. They are not a raid force in the conventional sense. They do not take buildings. They do not hold terrain. They extract people and intelligence with minimal signature and maximum speed. The insertion used 2 RHIBs, rigid hull inflatable boats, launched from the Somerset's well deck at 0217 local time. One RHIB carried the assault element. The second carried the extraction and security team, holding position 200 meters off the target vessel's stern. The assault team used closed-circuit rebreather diving equipment for the final 400-meter approach. Rebreathers produce no exhaust bubbles. They are invisible to thermal imaging from above. The IRGC vessel's watch crew never detected the approach. What happened on deck took under 4 minutes. Mohibi's personal security detail was neutralized using non-lethal suppression. No gunfire was confirmed in any signals intercept released since the operation. The general himself was 3 p.m.
Okay, part one. We got one more. One lady, Lucy, she came out with a 2-minute one.
Feet above water, weaving between islands using radar absorbent coating. 3:52 p.m. Back at the Strait, Captain Ahmadi received the warning. American missiles inbound. His blood went cold. Where's our air cover? Where are the fighters we were promised? His radio officer looked terrified. Sir, Iranian Air Force is reporting they're being jammed. Heavy electronic warfare. They can't get airborne. Ahmadi realized the trap he was in. 12 boats, middle of the strait, no air cover. American missiles coming, no escape. 3:54 p.m. USS Eisenhower launched second wave, 24 FA-18EF Super Hornets, not loaded with cruise missiles, loaded with AGM-88 HARM missiles. Electronic warfare aircraft were already in position, jamming every Iranian military frequency. Communications dead. Radar systems disrupted, GPS navigation corrupted. Iranian forces were going deaf, blind, and mute simultaneously. This wasn't a battle. This was surgical dismantling of an entire defensive network. 3:57 p.m. First Tomahawks impacted. Southern Iranian coast. Mobile anti-ship missile batteries. 1 second they were tracking targets. Next second, 1,000-pound warheads were detonating directly on top of them. Silkworm missile launcher, destroyed. C-802 battery, obliterated. Sunburn missile system, vaporized. 16 coastal batteries, gone in 90 seconds. 3:58 p.m. HARM missiles arrived. Iranian radar systems lighting up to track incoming threats made them perfect targets. The HARMs rode the radar emissions straight into the source. SA-15 air defense radar shredded. Ghadir early warning system burning. Every radar site that activated to defend against the attack became a target and died. Iran was going completely dark. 3:59 p.m. Captain Ahmadi in the middle of the strait made the call that would haunt him forever. All boats, retreat immediately. Return to base. Emergency speed. But retreating required coordination, required communications, required navigation. The Americans had destroyed all three. His boats scattered in different directions. Chaos, panic, exactly what U.S. Navy wanted. 4:01 p.m. F-35s arrived over the strait. Stealth fighters Iran couldn't see, couldn't track, couldn't engage. They saw 12 Revolutionary Guard boats fleeing in disorder. No air defense covering them. No missiles to protect them. Just targets. The F-35s didn't even need cruise missiles for this. They switched to internal weapons. GBU-53 Stormbreaker smart bombs. Precision weapons that could hit moving targets. 64 bombs released. 4:02 p.m. Iranian fast attack boats started exploding. Not dramatic movie explosions. Clinical, precise destruction. Bomb hits engine compartment. Boat breaks apart. Sinks in 30 seconds. Next target. Next bomb. Next boat dead. The F-35 pilots weren't even breathing hard. This wasn't combat. This was execution. 4:03 p.m. The two Ghadir submarines tried to submerge deeper, hide on the bottom, but American P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft had been tracking them for 6 hours. They knew exactly where both subs were. Torpedoes in the water. Mk-54 lightweight torpedoes. Active sonar. Hunting. The Iranian submarine commanders heard them coming. High-pitched pinging getting louder, closer, faster. Both submarines surfaced immediately. White flags improvised from whatever cloth they had. Surrendering, the torpedoes went inactive. Circling, waiting, message received. 4:08 p.m. 12 Revolutionary Guard boats. 8 destroyed. 4. Surrendering. 2 submarines surfaced with white flags. 16 coastal missile batteries obliterated. 23 radar sites gone. Iranian communications network completely collapsed. And the strait wide open. At 4:12 p.m., commercial shipping resumed. A Kuwaiti oil tanker, escorted by 2 U.S. Navy destroyers, passed through the strait. Then a Saudi tanker, then Emirati, then Japanese, all sailing freely while Iranian forces watched helplessly from shore. 4:15 p.m. Tehran was in absolute chaos. Supreme Defense Council emergency session. Revolutionary Guard commanders being arrested. How did this happen? How did the Americans destroy everything in 30 minutes? The answer was simple. The U.S. Navy had planned this operation for 20 years. Every Iranian missile site was pre-targeted. Every radar system mapped. Every boat tracked. The moment Iran tried to close Hormuz, America didn't scramble to respond. They executed a pre-planned operation with surgical precision. 4:30 p.m. Vice Admiral Shaw sent one message to Tehran through back channels. The Strait of Hormuz is international waters. It will remain open. Any further attempt to close or restrict passage will result in complete destruction of Iranian naval capability. This was a demonstration. Next time, there won't be survivors. 48 minutes. Iran tried to close the world's most important waterway. The U.S. Navy reopened it, destroyed Iran's coastal defenses, sank or captured their blockade force, and resumed commercial shipping. 0 American casualties. Complete mission success. Strategic implications were catastrophic for Tehran. Iran's greatest leverage, their ability to threaten Hormuz, proved worthless. They tried to close it with everything they had. America opened it in 48 minutes. Every nation watching learned the lesson. Iranian threats are hollow. American power is absolute. The strait belongs to whoever can keep it open. And that's the U.S. Navy. 3:42 p.m. Iran closed Hormuz. 4:30 p.m. Oil tankers sailing freely through. 48 minutes. That's how long Iranian naval power lasted. This is the Strait of Hormuz. This is Vanguard Protocol. This is what happens when you threaten global commerce. You don't get negotiations. You get erased. Never close what the U.S. Navy keeps open. Full flight paths, not terrain follow.
I got a part 3, 4 minutes. Then I got about 4 more short ones.
Oil stops mattering if nobody can reach it. But before the boats, there was one more target that couldn't wait. The mine storage bunker on the east shore. If you look here at the layout, this bunker held EM-52 rocket-propelled rising mines and SADAF contact mines stacked floor to ceiling. 100 to 250 kilograms of explosive per unit. Drop a 500-pound GBU-38 through the roof, and you don't just hit the bunker. You set off everything inside it. Primary blast radius, 35 meters. Secondary from the stored mines, north of 300. Nearest oil pipeline junction, 280 meters east. The obvious bomb is the one bomb you absolutely cannot use. The weapons officer went counterintuitive. Use the biggest bomb for the most delicate job. 2 GBU-31s, the only 2,000-pounders in the formation. If you look here at the warhead, it's a BLU-109 penetrator with delayed fusing at 25 milliseconds. The penetrator punched through the roof, drove to floor level, and detonated, collapsing the structure inward and burying the mine stockpile under hundreds of tons of concrete before a single round could cook off. The 2,000-pound bomb was the gentle option. Pipeline intact. The mine bunker was sealed. The boats were not. The Black Aces were already sprinting north. Recall the moment the pier contacts appeared, pushing their engines to full military power across 60 miles of Gulf. 60 miles at 550 knots is roughly 7 minutes. 7 minutes where 2 patrol boats ran north with nobody chasing them. They arrived late enough that one GPS jammer in one hardened basement had handed 2 patrol boats a head start on the most consequential mining operation since the tanker war. The lead pilot put the Joshua Pier on his targeting pod. 5 of the original 7 boats still sat at the pilings. His GBU-39s walked through the tied-up hulls in 4 rapid releases. Boats folding at the pilings like aluminum cans. 5 boats in under a minute. Not bad for a pilot who'd nearly been hit by his own side 10 minutes ago. 2 boats made it out. Catching them meant descending to 12,000 feet for reliable infrared tracking on targets that small, which put both Hornets inside the effective envelope of the Samabad batteries. At 18,000, the 35mm rounds barely reached. At 12,000, the Hornets were textbook targets. The lead pilot descended anyway. 12,000 feet. Tracers reaching for him now within 10. Bursts bracketing his flight path as the Skyguard walked corrections toward his computed position. The shells didn't just flash, they concussed, each airburst thumping through the airframe like someone kicking the fuselage from the outside. He needed a targeting pod locked on the lead boat, which meant steady wings, which meant no evasive maneuvering, which meant flying a straight line through accurate fire from guns that couldn't be bombed. He switched to GBU-54 laser JDAM. If you look here at the weapon, it's a 500-pound bomb with dual-mode guidance. The laser from his pod paints the boat's hull the way your headlights track a deer on a dark road. Wherever the boat moves, the weapon follows. But only as long as his hand holds steady on the designator. One flinch from a close burst and the laser walks off the hull and a 500-pound bomb goes stupid into the Gulf. And at 12,000 feet, the flinch opportunities were coming every 3 seconds. A 35-millimeter airburst detonated close enough to rattle the canopy frame. He held the laser. The boat's captain had turned head on, narrowing his thermal profile to 4 meters while running at full throttle. Smart. Also meant the pilot had to hold a laser on a 4-meter hull bouncing through his own wake at 35 knots while tracers bracketed the aircraft from both sides. Impact tore the lead boat apart at full speed. His wingman was already tracking the second craft, which had broken west toward the island shallows. The wingman cut inside the turn at 11,000 feet, tracers arcing past the canopy, and put a GBU-54 into the stern. The boat folded backward over its own wake. Packer 63 pushed over the island on the final run, absorbing Packer 62's redistributed targets on top of his own list. The weapons officer had been reprogramming coordinates mid-approach for the past 4 minutes, adding aim points to a delivery sequence that was already full, while tracers stitched the sky around the aircraft. The Samovat gunners had been firing for 20 straight minutes now, barrel heat warping the tracers into wavering arcs that climb past the aircraft like slow-motion fireworks. The airport control tower, 3 decades of IRGC helicopter coordination from its top floor, collapsed into its own foundation. The military district headquarters took 2 GBU-38s and the second floor ceased to exist. The barracks complex behind it folded next. Then the communications relay that had been feeding target updates to the patrol boats. On the sniper pod's final pass, the propellant fire from the Rasad hillside had reached the base of the containment berm and stopped. The concrete held. 30 million barrels of crude oil sat exactly where the coalition needed it, intact, undamaged, and completely undefended. 500 miles southeast, the USS Tripoli was making 20 knots into the Gulf with 2,200 Marines and a squadron of F-35Bs. The reason America's roads have potholes was pulling into the driveway. It clears every...
Okay, we have 3 good military videos today. Or maybe 4 or 5, I can't remember.
Iran was taken over by Islamic extremists in 1979. Their whole country went to hell in a handbasket. Women started getting beaten. Dogs were not allowed in the house. Things went to shit, okay? Iran has unalived thousands of Americans, including sailors and many, many more. Iran has been working on building a nuclear weapon that will reach the United States. Iran's leaders told our leaders, we are only 10% away from having a nuclear weapon. We're right there. But then y'all say Trump started a war with Iran for no reason. We're in a war and we're endangering our soldiers, and we started a war for no reason. We just started a war. What part of death to fucking America? We're building a nuclear weapon. We're only 10% away. Is not clicking with everybody. What part of do you wait until they blow us off the fucking map? If Biden had went over there and said, okay, guys, they're 10% away from having a nuclear weapon, we got to blow them off the fucking map, because if not, they're going to strike us. Y'all have been licking his asshole. But because Trump does it and saves us from these sadistic motherfuckers, which, by the way, have you paid attention what they're doing to the protesters? Have you paid attention? They don't give a shit about their own people. They will blow their own country and their own people up before they give up. They plant their missiles and their shit under schools, under little bitty kids where they're at. They don't care about their people. You really think that they care about us? What the fuck is wrong with you, motherfucker? Simplify it real quick for everybody.
Okay, we got 3 of her today. That was an important one. All right, the other TikTok lady. I got 3 short ones, you guys. 3 more.
Terror leaders off the face of the earth. And suddenly it's reckless and dangerous. But wait, remember when Hillary Clinton looked at the camera dead in the eye and said this? I totally obliterate. And back then, Democrats were nodding along. Fast forward to today, same country, same regime, same language. But now that President Trump actually puts those words into action, he's suddenly a war criminal. You can't cheer obliterate when your team says it and clutch your pearls when the other guy follows through. Today, we're going to break down the hypocrisy, and trust me, Senator John Kennedy, he brought a mic drop moment that deserves its own laugh track. Plus, President Trump is sounding alarm bells on Spain, and let's just say, if FAFO had a travel brochure, they might be on the cover of it now. Plus, the deposition tapes of Bill and Hillary Clinton are finally out. As promised, I have got the highlights for you. And wait until you see Bill's attorneys practically wrestle hot tub photos right out of his hands because he can't stop staring and smiling. Meanwhile, Hillary is caught on camera performing outrage over a leaked photo from a deposition she wanted public. But first, let's get to Iran. Here's a clip to kick us all off that honestly, I could watch on loop. Smash that like button if you support President Trump's approach of peace through strength. And make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss the day's most pressing headlines. Because I'm pretty sure Operation Epic Fury just achieved Kamala Harris's most prized, most poetic point. Correct me if I'm wrong. Roll it. The Democrats are absolutely...
Okay, 2 more.
Plant of the year. This isn't just a Davos slip up. It's a full-blown global embarrassment that might have just ended any hope he had for the White House. He strolls in, tries to show off for world leaders, and somehow manages to ridicule the entire planet while apparently forgetting what planet he's even on. Honestly, he looks like he's in a different time zone, one that does not involve sobriety. Wait until you see this. And now breaking, Newsom has reportedly been denied entry into the U.S. House while in Davos. All those details are coming up. Plus, Kristi Noem, she weighs in on whether Don Lemon will actually face consequences for the stunt he pulled inside a church. Hit that like button if you think Gavin Newsom should never touch the White House, and subscribe to make sure you don't miss the day's hottest political news. Now, before we get to the video that has everyone talking, where Gavin Newsom looks like he's not exactly sober, let me show you how this whole dumpster fire started. Gavin Gaslight Newsom, he rolls into Davos, ready to lecture the world on Donald Trump and billionaires, all while hanging out with the crazy son of the foreign billionaire who jets around posting pictures of the Democrats he bought. And just yesterday, Ted Cruz, he posted a more appropriate version of this photo.
Good Easter
Let's
tomorrow.
be real. Gavin works for Soros, and he proved it on the global stage, hitting every single Soros talking point, telling European leaders to stand up to America, fight back, and basically undermine U.S. security, all while pretending he's some kind of tough independent statesman. Gavin Newsom just pulled off what might be the most spectacular...
One more, last one, you guys.
The same guy who spent years screaming, "Release everything," is now suddenly warning that releasing the Fang Fang files would be an abuse of power. This is the political version of a guy demanding every safe be cracked open right up until he realizes his own diary is sitting inside. We've got the receipts, the timeline, and the juicy details of what might actually be inside those Fang Fang files. And let's just say, it's not exactly bedtime reading, and it's definitely not an April Fool's joke. Plus, another blockbuster, President Trump making history as the first to attend oral arguments at the Supreme Court, and the left is absolutely spiraling over it. Today's topic, birthright citizenship. It's a big one. Lots to unpack today. Hit that like button if you want those Fang Fang files released, and subscribe if you're new so you never miss the day's top political headlines. So as I said, President Trump made history today, the first sitting president to attend oral arguments at the Supreme Court. At the center of today's debate was 47's executive order regarding birthright citizenship, a headline-worthy moment. But nope, Justice Jackson decided to steal the show with what can only be described as the lost in translation defense of birthright citizenship. Oh boy. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson just gave us a masterclass in legal gymnastics, and not the good kind. She's basically arguing that if you're physically in a country, you magically owe it allegiance. Let me break it down. Jurisdiction versus allegiance. Yes, Japan can arrest you if you steal a wallet while visiting. That's jurisdiction. No, though, that does not mean you're suddenly loyal to Japan. You're just obeying the law while standing there. Then she decides to wander into a Senate debate from the 1800s and even admits she isn't sure if the quotes she's actually reading are from senators. That's like citing Wikipedia in a Supreme Court argument and saying, close enough. Somebody check her diploma. I'm starting to think she graduated from the Leering Center. And maybe we should have expected this after Kamala Harris's glowing endorsement of her. Oh, this is just...
All righty, guys. Wow. A lot of stuff out today. A lot of good intel. Quick shop. Is this your first time in here? Welcome. I don't know how long you've been following, but we always ask what state you're from. I'm from Michigan. Been on this for 6 years, over a million views, and we have a great team and good chat here. I'll ask this be respectful and thank you and for coming in. Yeah, Maria, I was looking for your email. Hopefully I can get a hold of you this week. You and Gina. Yep, so far. Yep. So God bless everybody. Had another great day of intel, and tomorrow's Easter. Hope everyone has a good Easter, and we'll see what happens. I don't know what is. Darn it. I think my email. I might have to get a new email. You got something to write with? I'll work on it. I'll try to get a hold of you somehow. We'll check it out, see what's wrong, why I'm not getting no emails. Keep trying. I'll try to get it. So thanks, mods. Tim, Lucy, Kate, or Flying Eagle, Carol. She's at church. You know what, Carol? I'll delete. Go ahead and put it in chat, and I'll delete your email as soon as I write it down. Okay, I got a pen and paper. You know what? Put it in chat. It's okay to put it in, and I'll delete it since since I get it written down. Oh, you must have left. You still here? Okay, guys. God bless everybody. I want please hit like, and the new people, please. Everybody has gotten back to backup channels in the description box. Thank you. Stay safe, stay strong, keep the faith. Never give up. Signing off. Chico, dude. Okay, let me see here. Is that a Gmail account? Okay, I got it written down. I hope I can get it. Signing off, Chico and you till tomorrow evening. Everybody have a great Easter, and we'll see you tomorrow night about 6 o'clock tomorrow night. Bless you guys.